The Cards' bats have been silent at Coors Field so far this season, and the frustration has set in. Today, Andy Bennis faces the task of stopping one of the best hitters in the league, in the game, and the best RBI man, Todd Helton. Cards baseball is coming up next. The Cardinals lost their fourth straight decision last night, losing 9-1 to the Rockies. And the Redbirds on this four-game road trip so far are 0 for 4. Hockey is on the minds of the fans here in Denver, Colorado. Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals, and tonight the Rockies look to make it 2 in a row. The Cardinals and Rockies in Game 2 of a 3-game set this evening on WB11. Al Raboski once again is not with us tonight. Thankfully, Rick Horton is, the former Cardinal left-hander. I'm Dan McLaughlin, and great to have you along for Cardinals baseball. Rick, if you break down the 0 for 4 start in this road trip, 0 4, you'd have to say it's the middle of the lineup not producing. And if you break it down even further, 5 for 30 with runners in scoring position. It's been a struggle in that lineup.
Well, 5 for 30 is not going to get it done with runners in scoring position, particularly when you're playing in Coors Field. This is a tough place to play, as we all know, coming into this ballpark, and you have to take advantage of every opportunity you can. The Cardinals really need production out of the middle of the lineup.
Well, just 4 hits last night for the St. Louis Cardinals, and this is what it's been like so far on their visit to Coors Field. The Redbirds, no wins here, and this breakdown at Coors, you see the ERA over 10, the batting average under 230. You don't expect that when you come to Coors. The ERA, you know, is going to be high, but the batting average has got to be better than that.
Well, there's no question the Cardinals are going to have to produce with the bat. Andy Bennis is the one that really's got his job cut out for him tonight with Walker and Helton in the middle of that Rockies lineup. This is a great lineup, and these guys can hit, and Andy Bennis is going to be the key to the ballgame tonight.
Well, last night on the mound, Alan Bennis, Andy's brother, was, well, he was hit around pretty hard in that 8th inning, and he was sent out after the game. Now, the decision was made before the game, but now we're going to see Bud Smith. He'll make a start on Saturday, and you had a chance to visit with that young left-hander.
Oh, it's great to look at a guy who's in his first day in the big leagues. Bud Smith was actually calm, cool, and collected in the Cardinal clubhouse. I think he's ready to be here. He's a young guy, but I think he feels like he belongs in the big leagues. He has certainly been proving that he belongs here by his performance in AAA, and I'm excited about getting a chance to see him pitch. I don't know if it'll be tonight, but maybe.
Yeah, we'll see him out of the bullpen before that start on Saturday. Making the start tonight, Andy Bennis. He's 4 and 4 against Pedro Estacio. He's coming off a 3-hitter. Cardinal baseball comes your way next. Cardinals baseball on WB11 is brought to you by Michelob Light. For a smooth, satisfying taste you won't find in an ordinary light beer or Michelob Light. By AutoZone, the right part, the right price, and good advice. By your local St. Louis Chrysler Jeep dealers, the official automotive sponsor of the Cardinals on WB11. By Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers for tires and complete auto service. All you need is Dobbs. And by Southwest Airlines, celebrating 30 years of freedom. 30 years, one mission. Low fares, Southwest Airlines. Well, Tony La Russa and the Cardinals have struggled here in Colorado, including a 4-hitter thrown against him last night, combined with the bullpen and good starting pitching from Denny Nagel. Tonight's Southwest Airlines starting lineup for Tony La Russa looks like this. Vina to lead things off, followed by Edmonds and Drew, then McGuire playing in his 3rd consecutive game. He's had success against Estacio, Pujols, Langford, Renteria, Mike Matheny, and Andy Bennis. And on the mound for the Rockies, it'll be Pedro Estacio. He is part of our Chrysler Jeep pitching matchup of the night. Estacio, 31 years of age, and this guy has been a workhorse in years past, Rick Horton, for the Colorado Rockies.
He is really their #1 guy here in Colorado. He actually has more wins than any pitcher in franchise history. He throws hard fastball. He's got a good breaking ball. He's 5 and 5 on the year, but he is a strikeout pitcher, which is a good thing to be in Coors Field.
He's one of a handful of pitchers who've made at least 30 starts in each of the last 5 seasons, 239 prior to this year, the 2001 campaign. Behind him, it's brought to you by Dobbs. This is a look at the defense for the Rockies. Gant, Pierre, and Walker in the outfield. Cirillo and Perez on the left side of the infield. Todd Walker, the second baseman tonight. Shumpert on the bench. Helton at first. Ben Petrick behind the plate. Estacio is on the mound. The Dobbs defense, and here's Fernando Vina to lead things off for the St. Louis Cardinals. Vina, Edmonds, and J.D. Drew. Drew back in there after feeling ill the last couple of days. Venus slaps it left side. Nice play by Cirillo. From his knees. Held the tag, and they got him. A good play on both ends on the corners from Cirillo and Helton.
Well, we got an interesting start to this ball game. Cirillo makes a great play diving to his left, comes up with it clean and does the right thing, stands up and steadies himself and throws a little bit wide at first base, but Helton, not only can he hit, he can field over at first base. He's maybe one of the best players in the National League that we've never heard of or don't talk about much, and he makes a great play there to start out this ball game.
Cirillo probably had more time to at least get up and not throw from his knees there.
Well, anytime the leadoff hitter slaps the ball, the infielders are always thinking quick.
Sure. Speaking of guys that need to pick things up and be a little quicker at the plate, here's one of them. Jim Edmonds hitting .284 on the year with 9 homers and 32 RBIs. But, Ricky, we're starting to see some signs that he's coming out of this little slump.
Well, I thought he hit the ball pretty well last night, that double first at bat. He really looked like he stayed in, kept his front shoulder in, and just drove that ball in the right center. And that's a good sign for Jim Edmonds to get hot. And the Cardinals are really throwing the A lineup out there tonight. You mentioned Drew back in the lineup, and with McGuire in and Edmonds here in the second hole, not a bad lineup.
Jim lays off that pitch. 3-0. Edmonds hitting in the 2 spot. And J.D. Drew has the luxury of hitting in front of Mark McGuire here tonight. And Jim takes a strike. 3-1. Tony La Russa and the Cardinals will watch McGuire respond after the game tonight. He may even play tomorrow afternoon. That's up and into Edmonds, and he draws the 1-out walk. The Chrysler Jeep matchup tonight. Starting pitchers, let's take a look at the numbers for Stasio. He's 5-5. A lot of talk, Ricky, as he makes his 13th start of the season, that he could be on the trading block if the Rockies do not get things going and at least make a strong push in the next month, because they play over 3/4 of their games here at Coors Field.
Well, Dan O'Dowd threw that out in the paper again today. He said, I'm looking for this team to either produce or get out. And he mentioned that about Neifi Perez is looking for a long-term contract. And O'Dowd doesn't fool around.
No.
He is a smart baseball guy, but he's going to want to make sure this team can win before he starts locking guys into long-term deals. And I think he believes this team can win.
He wasn't shy about transforming the look of this team at all. Remember when they had Castilla and Walker and Andres Galarraga, they relied on the home run and the big numbers that you can produce here at Coors Field. But now you look at this team and it's built around a lot of speed. JD fouls it back. He's even the count at 1 ball, 1 strike.
And you'd have to say, Dan, that keeping Walker wasn't a bad idea to that team.
And Helton, keeping him around and locking him up to a long-term contract this offseason. Of course, Mike Hampton signed a huge deal, and they said, hey, pitching is going to get it done, even at this ballpark. So Stasio, who was the #1 for probably the last 3 to 4 years here in Colorado, moves down to the #3 spot in that rotation. And the 2 lefties, Hampton and Nagel, have been the guys that they rely on 1 and 2.
Well, Stasio has been on record as saying he wants to pitch here and likes pitching here, which I guess I would have a hard time understanding how he can get to that point. But he believes that it's a challenge for any pitcher to pitch in this ballpark, and he feels that as long as he likes it and can deal with it, he's going to have an advantage on people who come in here and try to do things they're not capable of doing.
And I would imagine, and you would know much better than I, that that's a base hit ripped up the middle by J.D. Drew, and Edmonds will move up to second. So first and second as McGuire will step in. That's the attitude that you have to have. You have to be willing to accept the challenge of pitching here at Coors Field.
Yeah. Athletes need to do that in general, but baseball is such a thinking game. You have so much going on between the ears. And if you start thinking negatively and start thinking about the temperature, or whether it's, the park is a big park to pitch in, or whether the grass is slow, you're thinking about the wrong things. It's hard enough to throw strikes and to hit the ball on the nose. If you start thinking about negative things, the other guy's going to have an advantage.
We saw last night McGuire put one off the wall for one of the longest singles here at Coors Field. Took less than 3 seconds to get out to left field. Now the Cardinals are 5 for 30 with runners in scoring position on this trip. And here's a chance here with first and second. Big Mac looks at a strike.
As we look at Stasio's struggle here in the first inning for him is a big inning. When he comes out and shuts the team down in the first inning, he wins a whole lot more games than he loses. But when he struggles in the first, that's usually a sign that he's not quite on his game.
Lots of room in right center. Rarely do we see McGuire go there, and he looks at a ball up and in to even the count. Good speed on the base pass with Drew and Edmonds. Just 1 out early on here at Coors Field. Again, we want to wish Al Raboski a speedy recovery. Hope he's feeling well. And if you're just joining us tonight, Rick Horton has been kind enough to be our color analyst for this evening's game. Chance to go hack in here for McGuire. Pujols is on deck. That's a ball, 2-1. We have seen, Ricky, in the last week and a half, pitchers not shy about going inside to McGuire. That's something that is uncommon with him at the plate.
Well, when he was a young player just coming up, that's what you did do. When he was quite a few pounds lighter and quite a bit weaker than he is right now, you used to try to pound him in and didn't want him to get his arms extended. But when his arms got a little bit bigger, he can extend them pretty much anywhere he wants to, and people stop going inside. But as you say, when the timing's not right, if you can get in on a guy, you've got better chance than not of getting him out.
The next to McGuire is inside, so what a chance here with 3 balls and a strike. Pujols on deck in first and second.
Pitchers love to say, Dan, if you're going to go in, you better get it in.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with a guy like McGuire. If you leave it a few inches out over the plate, you're going to be backing up a base somewhere.
3-1 the count on Big Mac. He has 2 home runs. That's a strike. That was the same pitch that was called early on in this same at bat, so now the count is full. Three balls, 2 strikes on McGuire. A chance early on against Pedro Estacio. The Cardinals managed just 4 hits last night. Runners are going. Check swing and a foul. Or did he strike out, or did he walk?
I think they're going to say that ball was in the dirt. They checked him down at first base, and I think we're going to get a break here, and they're going to call that a walk.
Yeah.
He went with a 3-2 breaking ball on McGuire. Estacio does not walk a lot of hitters. He's only walked 26 and struck out 79 going into this game, but he's shown a little wildness here in the first inning.
Here's Albert Pujols. What have you thought of the 21-year-old rookie and watching him back home?
Well, you don't have to be a genius to like this guy. I mean, you really don't have to go out on a limb to say you like what you see in Albert Pujols. He really has done it all. He's really carried this team. Basically, with McGuire being out, they needed somebody like Pujols, as he hit the home run last night off of Denny Nagel. Pujols has really been an important part of the Cardinals staying in the race early on. You don't want to talk about the race too early, but think about where the Cardinals would be without Pujols and his 17 home runs. They would be in a lot worse shape and maybe 10 games behind the Cubs instead of 5.
Yep. Bases loaded for Albert Pujols. He goes up there hacking. He's not shy about doing that. And a lot of times, Ricky, we'll see him fall behind in the count. We'll see him all the time with an 0-2 count, a ball and 2 strikes, but yet he is a tremendous 2-strike hitter.
Well, that's the thing.
Loaded.
That's the thing you don't always see in a young hitter, that he can hit with 2 strikes and that he can use all fields. And you really haven't seen pitchers exploit a real obvious weakness yet. And maybe the second time around they'll find something out, but they haven't found out anything yet.
Pujols shoots it into right center. That should be deep enough. Larry Walker will gather it in. He's got a gun. JD is tagging from second to third and scoring the first run of the game. It's Jim Edmonds, and Albert Pujols adds to his RBI lead for the Cardinals. That's number 55, and it's 1-0 St. Louis.
Well, that ball got in just a little bit on Pujols, but he did what you're supposed to do with runners in scoring position. We talked about the Cardinals batting with runners in scoring position, and here Pujols does the job of picking up the run by just lifting the ball to the outfield. That's the job. When there's a guy on third base and less than 2 outs, that is your job to get the ball in the outfield, and Pujols got the job done. It was a fastball on the inside part of the plate, a little bit of an inside-out swing, but Pujols lifted it and got the job done.
So now 2 outs. McGuire at first, and J.D. Drew wisely tagged from second. He's at third, and here is Langford. Had the night off last night. He looks at a strike. Ray is hitting 260. Had a very good series to open up the season here at Coors Field. A couple of home runs. He has 13 on the year and 31 RBIs. Renteria waits on deck if Ray can extend the inning. 1-0 Cardinals. Stasios got off to the great start, won 3 of his first 4 and allowed just 6 earned runs in his first 28 innings. And then in his next 7, he was 1-4 with an ERA over 7. And Ray Lankford has had some good success against this right-hander. Ray hits it to short. Perez the flip to Todd Walker, and the Cardinals will leave a couple here in the first, but they gain a run. They gain the upper hand early on in this game. Albert Pujols with his 55th RBI of the season. 1-0 St. Louis. Well, a good start for Tony La Russa and the Cardinals. Buddy Bell is in his 2nd season as the manager of the Rockies. It's 1-0 Redbirds. Albert Pujols, lone RBI in this game. Southwest Airlines, a look at their starting lineup. The speedster with 16 stolen bases. Leading things off, Juan Pierre, followed by the shortstop Perez. Larry Walker, a 7-game hit streak on the line tonight. Then you have Helton, Cirillo, Todd Walker, Ron Gant, Ben Petrick, and Pedro Estacio. Our Chrysler Jeep starter for St. Louis is Andy Benes, making his 13th start of the season. He's 4-4 with an ERA that's near 7, and bigger and better things expected from Andy Benes here tonight.
Well, Andy's coming off a good start against the Reds. He won 5-2 on the 4th of June, and he went 6 innings and walked nobody and struck out 2, which was really exciting to see him come back and have a good start after a really awful start. He went 2 innings to start before and gave up a whole bunch of hits and a whole bunch of runs, and Andy is such a key to this rotation. They really need him to be solid.
Dobbs' defense behind the right-hander tonight. Lankford, Edmonds, and Drew in the outfield. Pujols back at third tonight. Renteria's at short. Benia McGuire on the right side of the infield. Mike Matheny, the Gold Glover, is behind the plate. And Andy Benes on the mound. Juan Pierre, this guy is exciting. He'll lead things off. And there's a look at what you were talking about, Rick Horton. Monday, he defeated the Reds. Andy Benes did. He pitched into the 7th, close to 100 pitches, and he looked much better in that start on Monday.
I think he'd take those numbers if he knew he was going to get those tonight.
Well, the thing about Benes, and we were talking about it before the game, as Pierre leads it off, followed by Perez and Walker, is that he does not have that dominating fastball like he used to that was in the 93, 94, 95 mile an hour range. So he has kind of retooled himself and relearned how to pitch with better stuff. He's trying to do it without that fastball. That's a fastball up to Pierre. He pulls it to Benia, and there's one away.
Well, there's a good start for Andy Benes. You know, the fastball is certainly something that he's going to have to adjust to when you don't throw 93 and you throw 87. But as far as I'm concerned, the big thing for Andy Benes is location and the movement he has on the ball. I think the reason he struggled in some of his starts this season has been he's just made a lot of bad pitches. Made pitches out over the middle of the plate, hung breaking balls at the wrong time, and I don't think the velocity is as important as where his location is.
Nefi Perez, the shortstop, looks at a fastball and a strike from Benes. Back in early April, he had a 4-for-4 game against the Cardinals in a game that Andy Benes started. This is pulled right side and just foul.
That's another game I think Andy would like to forget about. You know, Andy's really like the Redbirds are right now in general. You're looking for anything where you can start a positive streak going. The team has really been streaky this year. Andy's been a streaky pitcher in his past. He's had wonderful second halves. He's always struggled early on, and he can get streaky and reel off 5 or 6 wins in a row, as the Redbirds have been doing all year. They win 6 in a row, and now, as we mentioned in the opening, have lost 4 straight.
And the Cardinals have lost 5 straight games here at Coors Field in 8 of their last 9. A ball and 2 strikes on Perez. Larry Walker to follow. Perez is hitting .324. Very good switch hitter. That's a good pitch there by Andy Benes.
I heard George Kissel talking about the team being streaky in the clubhouse before, and he said, you know, just like a storm cloud over your head that needs the wind to blow it out, we need a wind to just blow all that negativity out. We saw that here earlier. It had a little rain cloud during batting practice, and just as soon as it came in, the wind just kind of blew it out, and the sun came out. And George, in his typical fashion, does anything he can to teach players about the importance of turning the page. And and forgetting about what you did last week. And he's a great baseball mind.
Been around over 60 years now in the Redbirds organization. That's hard to believe. The 3-2 pitch. Up and away, and Perez draws the walk. Andy lets him off the hook, and Perez will take first. He has 5 stolen bases on the year. Let's go inside the numbers. Brought to you by Bank of America. The Cardinals on their brief road trip so far. You see the batting average under 200 with runners in scoring position. We've documented that in the open. Just 5 for 30 coming into this game. 12 runs with 2 home runs, and those stats are updated with a hit back in the first for St. Louis and an RBI by Pujols. The last thing you want is a man on when Larry Walker steps to the plate. This might be 2. Vina, Renteria on to first, and they got him. He hit it so hard, Vina had trouble getting out of the glove. Renteria got a delivery from Vina, was not really that good, but despite that, they still get the 4-6-3 double play and out of the first inning. The Cardinals and Rockies will come your way tomorrow on WB11 at 2. And it's our What's on Tap, brought to you by Bud Light. Happy birthday to Teresa, wife of Chad Blair, the Cardinals video coordinator. So happy birthday, Teresa. Chad is here and wanted to make sure that we pass that along. Chad always hard at work, and the game has changed even in the last 10 years, Ricky Horton, with a video coordinator and guys staying up till 3 in the morning, documenting each pitch, each at bat. That's what Chad does. He does a great job with it. That's a nice play by Cirillo. Up the line to Helton. That's the second fantastic play we've seen made by their third baseman.
Well, Cirillo does the same thing, Dan, that you mentioned that he did in the first inning. He got rid of the ball as quickly as he could. He makes a good play going to his right down the line, and he just gets rid of it as quick as he can, making sure he's got enough balance so Helton can make the play in plenty of time to get Renteria. You don't want to hold the ball if you can get balanced, and you really need to just fire it over to first base, and something good's going to happen. And Cardinals, unfortunately, don't get their leadoff hitter on here in the second.
Here's Mike Matheny with 1 out, nobody on. Mike hitting .204 with 3 homers and 14 RBIs. Andy Benes is on deck. You being a former pitcher can appreciate, despite the fact Mike is hitting .204, what he does behind the plate is the bonus that he brings to this team.
We tend to focus on the 60% of the runners that he's thrown out, which is a great number, but there's a lot of intangible things that he does, just the way he handles the pitchers. And I think he's particularly good with Andy Benes, who's out there today. And you need somebody like that behind the plate, because it could be a lonely thing to be standing out there on the mound giving up hits night after night.
First strikeout on the night for the 31-year-old right-hander. And pin night is coming up, Southwestern Bell pin night at the ballpark this Friday at 7:10. The Cardinals and White Sox interleague play, and the first 30,000 fans with a paid admission will get that pin night. Highlighting the Cardinals' 2000 Central Division Championship. Here's Andy Benes. 4 RBIs on the year, hitting .158. Andy can handle the bat. Shoots that foul and into the seats. And despite Game 7 of the Stanley Cup playoffs, a big crowd. And that is just down the street. We know that's sold out. And there's a big crowd here at Coors Field. Sounds like somebody just scored.
I'm guessing somebody scored. I don't think they're that excited about that foul ball. Andy Benes just hit down the right field line.
The 0-2 pitch. Fastball outside from Estacio. Pedro Estacio looking for his second consecutive strikeout. And that is a fair ball. Just stayed in on that first base line, and Helton took it himself. So a 1-2-3 inning for Pedro Estacio. He has set down 5 straight, 1-0 St. Louis. Well, immediately following tonight's game, join Jeff Bernthal, Melanie Moon for the latest news. Dan Issa with sports. Marquina Brown with the weather. It's all tonight on WB11 News immediately following tonight's game here in Denver. We welcome you back to Denver, Colorado. Dan McLaughlin alongside of Rick Horton filling in for Al Rabosky, who's a bit under the weather once again tonight. We wish him well and coming on back. If you would like to win Cardinals tickets and participate in the Southwest Airlines Family of the Game promotion during a Cardinals home game, here's your chance. Send your name, address, and phone number to Southwest Airlines Family of the Game, P.O. Box 77, 1192 St. Louis, Missouri 63177. And good luck from Southwest Airlines. Well, here is one of the top hitters in the game. It'll be Todd Helton to lead things off here in the second, followed by Cirillo, and then Todd Walker. 1-0 Redbirds here in the second. This guy is fun to watch. Todd Helton. He looks at a ball. Last night, Helton went deep. 4 home runs in the game for the Colorado Rockies. And that was 1 of 4, and Helton has 19 on the season.
Just watching the replay of that home run just shows you how well he keeps his hands back, which is really a key to hitting at this level. If you commit too early, either with your front foot or with your hands, you're going to be vulnerable to off-speed pitches, but he keeps everything back as late as he can. He sees the ball really well and did some damage last night, but he's done some damage in a lot of places over the last couple of years.
Hitting .339, and he pulls that foul. When he was making that run at 400, you can sit there and say, well, it's because he plays here. But then you saw his numbers on the road, and they were just outstanding. The National League home run leaders, Bonds with 32, and what a story he has been this season.
Well, he's been phenomenal, but you look at the story of Helton's numbers last year, 42 home runs, 147 RBIs. He was just spectacular last year to go along with his .372 batting average. This is really a key part of the lineup, obviously, for Bennis. Getting Walker to hit into a double play in the first inning. Walker and Helton, if you can keep those two guys down, they basically account for about 40% of the RBIs out of this lineup. You need to silence those two guys if you can.
The 2-2 pitch is fouled away. The pitch before this last one, which is rounded foul, Helton a lot of times with his dive over the plate, and we saw Andy Bennis bust one inside.
Well, you never know when there's a cat and mouse game going on. A lot of times the guy will dive out, and he'll dive just a little bit extra to try to convince the pitcher to try to throw in, and then he's looking for it in. So I don't trust hitters. I always think they're setting people up. Willie McGee was the best at that.
You don't trust hitters. What a shock.
No. Well, I don't know if Willie was doing it on purpose or not, but he'd swing at a breaking ball in the dirt, and you'd see pitcher after pitcher get back up there and think, okay, I'm going to throw a breaking ball in the dirt. They'd throw one at his shoe top, and he'd hit a linea somewhere in the gap, and you'd say, well, Willie must just be setting him up. So George Hendrick was pretty good at that too. He probably taught Willie.
The 3-2 pitch, swing and a miss, and a big strikeout there. Rarely do you see that. Helton asking if that was a strike. It was close enough to swing at. And Walker hits into the double play, and Helton leads off the second with a strikeout.
Well, there's a case of what happens when you got a good 87-mile-an-hour fastball in the right spot. That was a sinking fastball, went down at the last minute, and it was in a good spot right in the middle of the plate, but it was down and had good movement, like we talked about earlier. 87 is enough as long as it's moving some, and that pitch right there dipped at the last minute. That late movement is what's so key to throwing off hitters' timing, and anytime you can strike out Todd Helton, you've done something good.
Jeff Cirillo has tore up Andy Bennis in his career, 10 for 22. He is 1 for 5 this year against Andy with a home run. Something that we saw the Helton home run replayed earlier in this inning, and that was off of Alan Bennis. And you wonder how it affects Andy Bennis in making a start, seeing his brother, and these two are very close, sent back down to Memphis. 1-1 pitch hit to short. There's Renteria. There's 2 away. Good start in this game for Andy.
Well, there's no question that's going to be on Andy's mind. You know, he obviously is close with his brother Alan, and he feels for him like, you know, you always feel for your teammates. Anytime somebody gets sent down, you know, you notice the Cardinal pitchers who have had a lot of support for Ankiel since his downfall. You know, you really feel for the guys because you get to know them. They're like your brothers, but in the case of Alan, he is your brother. And so I think Andy does get hurt when things like that happen with Alan, but clearly it's the right move. He just didn't have his A game yet to pitch at the big league level, and hopefully he'll get it and come back and contribute this year.
This is Todd Walker in left center, and Langford calls off Edmonds, and it's a 1-2-3 inning for Andy Bennis. That's a look at Bud Smith in the dugout. He'll make a start on Saturday, 1-0 St. Louis. Bud Smith is the Cardinals minor league pitcher of the year last season and player of the year as well. 21 years of age. He'll be making his major league debut on Saturday he could come out of the bullpen and make a couple of stints out of the bullpen before that start on Saturday. Now, he was supposed to make a start in Memphis on Monday, but instead they brought him up because of the ineffectiveness of Alan Bennis. And we'll get our first look at Bud Smith at some point. I would hope not here in Coors Field. Let him ease into it a little bit, but then we'll see Bud Smith make his major league start on Saturday against the White Sox. Here's Bina. You had a chance to visit with Bud. You liked him?
Oh, I did. He seemed like he was really happy to be here, obviously, his first day in the big leagues. I really had a long talk with Dave LaPointe about him in spring training, and LaPointe says he is just the real deal. That's the way he described him. He said he knows how to pitch. He's not overpowering. He doesn't throw real hard. He's not a big guy either. When you look at him, you say, well, is this guy going to be a major league pitcher? He almost looks like halfway between the bat boy and a high school age pitcher. He just looks so young, and he's not real big, but he can throw the baseball. It kind of reminds you, in terms of his build, of a Greg Maddux. And you'd certainly like to have the results the same with a guy like Greg Maddux.
And he throws a lot like Greg Maddux, with the exception of that he's left-handed. Now, one thing that Maddux has is that pinpoint control, and that is what Bud Smith has. Now, he's got a very good changeup, pretty decent fastball, around 90 miles an hour. But the one thing that he doesn't have yet, Ricky, is that major league curveball that Walt Jocketty was telling me about a couple of weeks back, and why he wasn't called up out of spring training. And of course, with Ankiel, you weren't sure what was going to happen there. And now Smith is called up, and if he can get that curveball rolling at this type of level, you're talking about a guy that could be a pitcher like a John Tudor, or maybe a guy like a, you don't want to sit there and make comparisons like a Maddux, but you don't understand what I'm saying, like the guy that has that good control and is in and around the plate.
Tudor's probably a better example to use than Maddux.
There's a shot by Bina down the right field line, and that's trouble. It goes into the corner. Fernando will stop at second, and that's how we begin play here in the third.
We finished that thought about Bud Smith. He's he does a lot pitch like John Tudor. He's got to have 3 pitches, as we see Bina lining a fastball on the inside part of the plate, and he's hustled all the way. He's thinking double all the way, the ball down in the corner, and Bina starts off the third in good fashion. But Bud Smith has to have 3 pitches to pitch at the big league level. You have to have 3, and you have to have command of it. It's one thing to have the pitch, but you have to have command of it, and I think that's what they're talking about with his breaking ball.
Here's Edmonds, who walked and scored back in the first. It's 1-0 Cardinals. I think folks are anxious to see Bud Smith. Edmonds sticks the bat out into center. That'll carry to Juan Pierre. Bina is tagging. He'll test that arm, and he is into third. Heads up base running by Fernando Bina. He almost came off the bag at third, and now he calls time. They can test that arm of Pierre. He's got great speed, but not the great arm, and Bina is at third with just 1 out. Let's turn to our AutoZone division standings. The Cubs won this afternoon in 10 innings over the White Sox in interleague play, so they're 37-22, just 2 losses in their last 17 games. The Cardinals, as we speak, 5.5 back. Houston 6.5, Milwaukee 8, Cincinnati is 13, and Pittsburgh 18-40, 18.5 games out in the cellar for Lloyd McClendon in his first season. Here's J.D. Drew, and a chance for the Redbirds here to add to their lead.
That was a nice piece of base running by Bina as he almost came off the bag at third base. It looked like he might have rolled his ankle. Glad to see he didn't get hurt. But getting to third base with only 1 out, very key to this inning.
Infield is in as J.D. Drew, who has a base hit tonight, trying to add to his RBI totals. He has 42 on the year. And Ricky, this guy's starting to come into his own. J.D. Drew. J.D. skies this one into right field. That is a bomb. That makes it 3-0 St. Louis. J.D. Drew with home run number 20. RBIs 43 and 44. A rocket into right, and it's 3-0 Redbirds.
Well, so much for the guy having strep throat. I guess that's I guess he's over it now. He had a line drive base hit in the first inning, and he takes a fastball on the inside part of the plate, that bad spot, middle in, and just hammers it into the right field bullpen of the Rockies. And J.D. obviously seeing the ball okay after his bout with strep throat, and again, maybe that wasn't such a bad thing.
He's 2 for 2, and here's McGuire. Breaking ball and a strike. Drew now at 20 home runs, a career high for him, and he's 12 behind Bonds and 5 behind Luis Gonzalez. There's a rocket off the bat of McGuire and pulled foul.
It's great to see JD come up with these power numbers. That's been the one thing that you've always kind of wanted to see out of him. He's a steady player. He's a good outfielder. He runs well. He runs the bases well. He kind of does everything well. He's a good hitter, but you need him to be the RBI guy. You wondered, is he ever going to be a guy who can drive in 100 runs? And he's obviously on pace to do that, but he's also got a little more pop this year and has a chance to be a 30, 40 home run guy.
6 stolen bases on the year for Drew, and you would expect for sure 2020 and 30-30 is not out of the realm of possibility either.
It really isn't. And there's that fastball again, down and in, and he knew it right away. Hitters know it, and I think they know it pretty much a lot here at Coors Field. It's not that hard to figure out.
They set up outside to McGuire, and he goes the opposite way. That's trouble into right center. Off the base of the wall, McGuire is going to test the arm of Larry Walker, and he is into second. Boy, that was a rocket into right center, and McGuire has himself a double with just one out here in the third.
Well, testing the arm of Larry Walker isn't usually a good thing to do, but that ball was enough in the gap and deep enough into the right center field alley that McGuire could get into second base without too much trouble. You always hate to see Big Mac try to stretch something he's not sure of, though, because he is, he's still coming back. I mean, we'd like to say he's healthy, but you just don't want to see him throw on the afterburners, which he has to do here coming into second base, and just kind of slows up real gingerly, and you're just always happy to see him not grimace when he does something like that.
He's running fairly smoothly right there. That's good to see. Here's Albert Pujols, who has an RBI tonight. Now 55 on the year. It's 3-0 Cardinals. Pujols with a sac fly back in the first, and Drew with the 2-run home run. You're talking before about maybe in the second half of the season, pitchers finding a way to get Pujols out. And Ricky, we have seen already in the first 2 months of this year lots of situations in which pitchers will try different things, and he makes adjustments from at bat to at bat. It's not from week to week. I mean, it's from pitch to pitch. That's how quickly he is picked up. And he's done it at the major league level. That's what makes it all the more unbelievable to watch this guy do what he's doing at the age of 21.
I heard Jim Edmonds talk about Pujols as a young hitter, and what he impressed him, not that Edmonds has been around for 15 years himself, but what he really appreciates is that Pujols is learning, listening, and trying to apply.
Maybe respectful would be the best way to describe it.
I think that's right. And you see a lot of young players that, have a lot of success in the minor leagues, and they come to the big leagues, and the first thing they say is, don't teach me anything. I already know how to play. I don't want to get messed up here. And to some extent, you can't listen to everything either. You have to kind of take what advice you can use to help you become a better player. But if you're not going to sit around and listen to a guy like Jim Edmonds and Mark McGuire and some of the veteran players talk about how to hit in the big leagues, then you're not going to be around very long.
Mike Easler, the hit man, Cardinals hitting coach, has been awfully impressed with Albert Pujols and certainly with the surging J.D. Drew now. But as far as making adjustments, Mike has said that he has never seen a player adjust as quickly as Pujols has been able to do. It's been amazing. 2-2 the count.
Well, and the hitman would know, too, as he's been around this game a long time, seen a lot of young guys come up, and just what I'm talking about, the guys who have that little bit of an attitude. And you do need to be confident. It's not that you're not supposed to be confident, but there's a way to be confident and learn at the same time, and Pujols seems to have mastered both.
The next to him is shot into center. Pierre, though, is there, and he'll make the play. McGuire back to second, and there's 2 down. Well hit off the bat of Albert Pujols, but right to Juan Pierre, and it's up to Ray Langford.
It's a pretty good pitcher in Pedro Estacio that the Cardinals are pretty much hammering the baseball off of, and he can be nasty. He throws hard. He throws low to mid 90s, has a nasty breaking ball, and we've seen quite a few hard hit balls already tonight.
A dilemma for Jose Oquendo with McGuire at second and 2 outs is, do you send McGuire on these base hits? in any situation, really, because you don't want to get him hurt. That's the bottom line. It's like having the situation the other day was Kerry Wood trying to round third at Wrigley, and you hold him up because it's Kerry Wood or it's Mark McGwire.
Exactly. Well, I think Jose Oquendo likes his job, so I would say unless it's a double, I think you keep McGwire at third. Denny Nagel pulled a hammy coming around third base, and that could have spelled disaster for this Colorado team, and actually it still could. He's been doing a great job in this revamped starting rotation, and pulling up lame coming around third base as a pitcher. Yeah, you need to score the run, but you don't want to lose your starting pitcher while doing it.
No balls and 2 strikes on Langford. Ray with 2 strikes, hitting 140. Grounded into a force out his first time up. The 0-2 pitch is a ball, and that was pitch number 50 by Pedro Estacio. So that pitch count is already up there. We're just in the third.
I think you could say he is laboring right here. And it's a good test for him pitching to Ray Langford, who has struck out a lot this year. But we mentioned Pujols' contribution. Ray Langford has made a great contribution as well this year.
And they have to have him contribute. He has to be a guy that comes up big at different times and points this season, because, and he'll tell you, he wasn't the same type of player the last 2 years, struggling with the knee. The strikeouts are always going to be up with Langford, but he's a guy that can get you 30 to 40 home runs.
Seeing him in spring training this year, I am absolutely amazed that he's had such a good start this year. He was really struggling in spring training, and you start to wonder, well, how many hits does this guy have left? But he's done a great job.
The 2-2 pitch lays off that breaking ball. It's a full count. It was 0-2. Now the count is full on Ray. Renteria is on deck. Cardinals trying to snap a 4-game losing streak here in Colorado. 0-4 on this road trip. The next to Ray. He has a strike on the outside corner. What a backdoor breaking ball, and Ray is caught looking. And that's the second strikeout on the night for the right-hander. But J.D. Drew goes deep for the 20th time this season. 3-0 Redbirds. Fans on Sunday, June 24th, the Cardinals play the Giants. It's Coca-Cola Target bobblehead doll night at the ballpark. The first 30,000 fans with a paid admission receive a collector's bobblehead doll featuring Rawlings Gold Glove catcher Mike Matheny. The bobblehead is courtesy of Target and Coca-Cola, the official soft drink of the St. Louis Cardinals. Mike Matheny behind the plate tonight, doing his normal spectacular job defensively. It's 3-0 St. Louis as we move to the bottom of the third.
Mike's looked a little better looking at that bobblehead right there. How do those guys actually, do they pose for the bobblehead drawings? And how do they actually do that? I think Mike probably not. I think he's looked a little better. What do you think?
Forearms, though, on that thing.
His eyes look a little beady, though.
The forearms in that bobblehead were unbelievable.
Where is the bobblehead factory, anyway?
I have no idea. You're supposed to know these things after you retire from the game.
I'll research it.
Okay. And knowing that you were going to do this tonight, you should have known, Ricky.
Hey, I can't know everything. I am left-handed, you know.
You're one of the more normal left-handers, though. That's the one thing going against you, maybe.
Well, people have said that. And not a lot of people have called me normal, though.
Here is Ron Gant, and he pops this one up. Real good start to this game, and that's good to see for Andy Bennis as Drew has it for round number 1, and you are watching Cardinals baseball on WB11, KPLR St. Louis. Dan McLaughlin and Rick Horton filling in for Al Raboski, who's a bit under the weather once again tonight. One out here in the third.
Well, Andy has started out today doing the thing that a starting pitcher wants to do more than anything else, and that's get the leadoff hitter out. He retired all 3 leadoff hitters. He struck out Helton in the second and got Pierre out in the first, and now Gant here in the third inning, and it almost seems like half the inning is over. I know my math is off there, but when you get the leadoff hitter out, it seems like it's downhill the rest of the way.
Here's Ben Petrick, catcher for the Rockies. Highly touted for a good 3 to 4 years in their minor league system, and now starting to produce here in the major leagues. Nobody on, and the 1-0 pitch misses outside. 2-0. Up 3-0, but it's like having a 1-run lead here at Coors Field.
Absolutely.
watching the College World Series yesterday afternoon, and Tulane was up on Stanford something like 6 or 7 runs. Aluminum bats, same thing here at Coors Field. You can hit rockets out of here.
I think it's even worse here at Coors Field because you've seen games where 6, 7, 8 run leads, and you really don't even feel like you've won the game yet, and that's unusual. You don't feel that way in any other ballpark but this one.
In the College World Series yesterday, Stanford comes back and wins. Almost took 5 hours, 13-11. Mark Pryor, by the way, made a start for USC, and he was roughed up a bit this afternoon. Talking about highly touted draft picks and guys in minor league systems. Good pitch there by Bennis. Full count.
This guy Petrick has really got a lot of promise here. Todd Helton mentioned that he's going to be the next star of this team, and if Todd Helton said that, it's coming from a pretty good source. He powdered the ball last night, as I saw the replay on his home run.
Andy has been aggressive tonight, using both sides of the plate.
Looks like he's having fun out there. I've seen him smile a lot on the mound, too. I don't know if Matheny is telling him some jokes or what, but he seemed a little more relaxed, maybe. And I know he hasn't always felt that way pitching here.
The 3-2 pitch, swing and a miss. Good pitch there by Andy Bennis, and that's strikeout number 2 on the night. Well, for Buddy Bell, home games, the Rockies are 19-13. Away from Coors, 4 games below the 500 mark. And there's the difference in the average. 100 points in the batting average, runs per game, almost twice the amount here at home. Home runs per game, about 1 more per game. And then ERA is obviously going to be higher here at Coors Field. But the offense has been impressive for Buddy Bell. There's Renteria. A great start for Andy Bennis. Through 3 innings, he's faced the minimum. The Redbirds due up in the 4th. Renteria, Matheny, and Andy Bennis. 3-0 St. Louis. This portion of Cardinal baseball on WB11 is brought to you by Steak and Shake, famous for our steak burgers, and by Hyundai Dealers, where driving is believing. Test drive one at your local Hyundai dealer today. Beautiful Denver, Colorado, Coors Field. Dan McLaughlin alongside of Rick Horton. Albert Pujols has an RBI tonight. J.D. Drew, 2 RBIs, and it's 3-0. Redbirds on top, and you have to be impressed with the way that Andy Bennis has started this game at Coors.
He's done a great job facing the minimum. He has 2 strikeouts to the first 9 hitters, and again, this is a tough Rockies lineup. I'd like to see something out of the bottom part of the Cardinal lineup here as we go to the 4th inning. Edgar Renteria leading off here. He's a guy the Cardinals really need to get on track. He's not going to be your middle of the lineup guy that's going to hit 30 or 40 home runs, but if Renteria can hit 290 and be on base more often and set the table for those other guys, I think this offense is really going to take off. And he's been so-so this year. He's hitting 234 with 4 homers and 19 RBIs going into tonight's game. But I'd love to see this guy get on track.
He was 0 for 3 last night. First pitch is fouled away from Pedro Stasio, 31-year-old right-hander. He's 5-5 on the year. Tuesday night, Renteria had 3 RBIs and a pair of hits. And he has hit safely in 4 of his last 7 games with a double, a triple, and 4 RBIs. That's fouled back and quickly 0-2. This day in history, we'll have a look back to 1914. That's coming up in this inning.
But when you're batting 234, it seems like the count is always 0-2.
Yep, always in the hole. That was not a good 0-2 pitch. That was something to drive there for Edgar.
It sure was. Nice play by a fan down the third base line. But 0-2 pitch that far over the plate shows that Estasio's command is not what it normally is. Again, he's such a strikeout pitcher. 0-2, you figure he'd go to the nasty one.
Little chopper left side. Cirillo has to be quick, and he is. And Renteria is 0 for 2 tonight. This day in baseball history is brought to you by Schnucks. June 9th, 1914, Honus Wagner became the 2nd player in Major League history to collect 3,000 hits. Cap Anson was the 1st. I assume you never faced Honus Wagner, right?
No, I never did, and I don't think there's a Honus Wagner bobblehead doll either.
No.
There probably should be.
Here's Mike Matheny. He has a bobblehead night coming up.
Well, I'd love to have a bobblehead. You know, I wonder if kids now, you know, in the 70s when I grew up, which tells you how old I am, kids loved the thought of being on a baseball card. You know, that was kind of your dream. Do kids today want to have bobbleheads? Is that what they sit around talking about?
I think it is. Mike is seeing a steady diet of breaking balls. And it's 0-2. He struck out in his first at bat. It's a funny commercial during the break with Mike talking about how Stan the Man has a statue outside of Busch. Well, he's got his bobblehead night.
I'm still laughing about that. There it is again. Oh, boy.
The next to Mike Matheny. Another breaking ball and misses in. 1-2. That was pretty darn close to strike number 3.
Looks like Estasio's going to keep throwing these hard breaking balls until Mike shows that he can hit one. That ball just missed a little bit low, but he's going to keep throwing them.
Fastball. Evens the count. 2-2. Tomorrow we'll get a good look at Mike Hampton. He'll make the start for the Rockies. He's 8-2 against Dustin Hermanson, trying to get back on track. He's 5-4. Breaking ball into left. Good for Mike Matheny. There's a base hit. And Mike is 1 for 2 on the night with that strikeout. Now a base hit here in the 4th. And for the Cardinals, that is hit number 5 on the night.
Well, there's about a 95% chance that Mike was going to see a breaking ball right there, because when you have a bad swing at one, you're just going to have to prove you can hit it, which he did there. He kept his hands back. That was not one of Estasio's better breaking balls. It kind of hung up in the middle of the plate, and Matheny could really use that hit too. He's another guy that needs to get on track, hitting just over 200 going in the game today. I know he's struggling and pressing a little bit. Good thing is it hasn't affected his defense behind the plate, but you'd like to see him get up around 250, 260.
Vini on deck, and here is Andy Bennis. He'll be asked to move the runner over. Cirillo cheating in, way in at third. He's on the grass. Helton has to hold it first. With a guy like Andy that can control the bat a little bit, this is a situation where not only can he bunt, but the slug bunt, hit and run, those kind of things are all in play with Andy Bennis.
The slug bunt is maybe, I guess I would say, one of the most underused things in baseball. I think when you've got people moving around the infield and you've got holes all over the place, you know, you don't have to be that good a hitter to just hit a ground ball to short or a ground ball to second into an empty hole. With a third baseman charging, the first baseman may be charging. I think if you've got a pitcher that can swing the bat like Andy can, why not use it?
He's showing that he's going to square, but he could be deacon there. And Estasio a check on Matheny at first.
Anytime you go down to talk to the third base coach, you know everybody's going to be alert for something different. So you wonder whether he missed the sign or wasn't quite sure what was going on, because he's kind of going back and forth between a slug bunt and a regular bunt.
And he squares and looks at a ball. 1-0.
The secret on the slug bunt is you wait as long as you can. You wait till the pitch is on its way, everybody's moving, and all you do is bring the bat back and just hit a little ground ball. That's all you got to do. Your feet stay still. You're not swinging. You're not stepping into it. It's just basically like playing pepper, and you can get a first and third very easily if you do the job right.
Andy trying to help himself here. Swing and a miss. Throw down to second. And Mike Matheny is gunned down. So Bennis does not do the job by putting the ball in play, and Mike Matheny gunned down at second. And that's out number 2.
Like I said, that's the most overused play in all of baseball is the slug bunt. Actually, it doesn't always work, but it's a great effort right here. Bennis actually got a good pitch to hit right over the middle of the plate, and all he's got to do is get the bat on the ball right to the right side of the field, and we got first and third.
This time he shoots it into deep right. Walker going back on the track and makes the play. That is out number 3. So Matheny erased, caught stealing after his base hit. Andy Bennis flies to right. 3-0 St. Louis. 5 hits on the night for St. Louis. As we move to the 4th, Andy Bennis has faced the minimum, and it's 3-0. The Cardinals have the lead. It's a big inning for Andy Bennis. He'll see the top of the order in Juan Pierre, Nefi Perez, and Larry Walker and Rick Horton. This is as good a start as we've seen Andy Bennis have, not just here at Coors, but basically this season.
This is really exciting to see him do this. He's being very aggressive. He's going right at guys. He's not throwing a whole lot of pitches right here. And he's not making many mistakes like we talked about in the opener. You make a mistake anywhere, not just in Coors Field, but anywhere, and people are going to hit the ball in the gaps. And Andy has shown a good live fastball, has had good movement, and he's kept the ball away from the middle of the plate. And clearly this inning with Walker and hopefully not Helton coming to the plate this inning, you really need to keep the ball from the middle of the plate. But so far, so good for Andy Bennett.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the St. Louis Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of the game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Well, Andy Bennett, 33 years old, 6'6", 245. Will face a leadoff man here, the speedy center fielder, Juan Pierre. He has 16 stolen bases. That's in the top 5 of the major leagues. He's 0 for 1 with a ground out tonight. He grounded to Vina's first time up. Pujols way in at third. He tries to slap it the other way and fouls it back.
Pierre, first ball hitting with his team down 3-0. That's not something you always want to see your leadoff hitter do. He's only drawn a few walks this year. He doesn't strike out very much, but he also doesn't walk very much. And he's done a good job with the bat. But I'm sure Buddy Bell would like to see him take a few more pitches, get on base via the walk. And in this case, with a leadoff hitter, obviously a walk is as good as a hit.
Chops it left side, Renteria. The backhand, what a play there. Wow, that's a good play by the Redbirds shortstop, Edgar Renteria.
That is the only way he could make that play right there. That ball was a tough hop. Renteria coming in, had to come in quickly, had to catch it on the short hop, and gun out a speedy Pierre. And Renteria, that's a big-time play right there. He gets him by about 3 feet at first base. But any other way, if he'd have waited back on that ball, that's an infield hit.
You're talking about guys and not walking at the top of the order. Here's another one that is, you don't want to say impatient, but does not draw a lot of walks, and that is Nepi Perez. Pierre doesn't either. They're leadoff man. But when you play in this park, even if you're a guy that's not going to hit 45, 50 home runs, you just want to be aggressive because the ball just shoots off your bat. That's popped up left side, foul ground. Pujols, does he have a play? He does, and he puts it away for out number 2. And that's popped up off the bat of Perez, and the 2 men at the top of the order 0 for 3 with a walk. Let's turn to tonight's Bomarito Automotive Group leaderboard. Highest batting average during the month of June. Guerrero at .517 for Montreal. Ochoa has been hot for Cincinnati, their right fielder, but then Walker and Cirillo, 2 of the game's hottest. Walker near .500. He's at .481. He steps in. He hit into a double play to end the first.
Great to see him come up to the plate with nobody on base, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it makes all the difference in the world. Same with Helton. If you can get Walker here, he looks at a fastball and a strike on the outside corner, 1-1. Andy Bennett has been aggressive. He just has a little different look about him here tonight.
He does. That fastball, that's a good hard fastball on the outside part of the plate for Walker.
And he goes inside. Runs batted in, and now Walker steps in with 57. Nobody on base here, and that's good to see. 2 balls and a strike. He's ahead in the count against Andy Bennett. 3-1. You know, Larry Walker has got the Stanley Cup Finals on his mind, being from British Columbia. Obviously a big hockey fan, and that's just right down the street here in Colorado. Pop down the left field line. A long way to go for Langford, but that's going to find the seats and out of play. Maple Ridge, British Columbia. 34 years of age now is Larry Walker. Spent a number of seasons in Montreal and now here with Colorado, former MVP. He's finally healthy this year and putting up big-time numbers. The 3-2 pitch. Sticks the bat out, goes the opposite way, but Langford is there. A great outing so far for Andy Bennett. He's faced the minimum. He has not given up a hit. 3-0. Redbirds on top. Andy Bennett, Rick Horton with that towel around his right arm, has been outstanding here tonight through 4 innings. He's given up no hits. He's faced the minimum. He's see he's got that wrap. What's he doing with that?
I think he's just keeping his arm warm. It's a little bit cool here tonight. It's not, I wouldn't call it cold here in Colorado, but it's cool, and the pitchers do anything they can to keep their arm warm. Some guys put a jacket on, and Andy's chosen to use the towel as a jacket. And he does seem awful relaxed sitting there in the dugout as well. And again, that's not always the Andy Benes we see when he's pitching and competing, because he's such a competitive guy. And I guess you can be competitive and have fun too. And he does seem very relaxed, just sitting there on the bench and getting some Rockies out.
Here is Vina, the top of the order against Pedro Estacio. Shoots it up the middle. Good play to his left by Perez. On the run and makes it. And Vina tonight is 1 for 3 with a double and a run scored. That's how we begin the play here in the 5th.
Well, Perez made that play look awful easy. He's got some great range. He just, you know, it's fun for me to watch a big league shortstop that knows how to play shortstop. He's just so smooth. He takes big strides, big steps, comes all the way on the second base side of second base and throws out a speedy Vina. It's just so much fun to watch the artistry of a good major league shortstop.
Here is Jim Edmonds, the only man in Coors history to hit 2 balls into the upper deck in the same game. You were talking about the general manager, Dan O'Dowd, beginning to get into negotiations with the shortstop Perez, and he was offered contracts of 2 and 3 years extensions, but laid off those, and now he wants to stay here long term and finish his career as a Rocky. But they have committed some kind of money to Mike Hampton and Nagel and Helton, Larry Walker, trying to tie up their key guys, their 4 guys. Good fastball there to Edmonds, 1 and 2.
It's become the hard part of being a general manager at the major league level is there are so many contract decisions that go into what you do to build a team, and when a guy is eligible for arbitration or when he's eligible for free agency. And Dan O'Dowd's really a master at it. He did a great job with the Cleveland Indians.
Good piece of hitting there.
Great piece of hitting by Edmonds. As Perez was playing him almost straight up the middle, and Edmonds finds that hole between short and third, and it's one of those cases where the pitcher throws the ball away from where his fielders are, gets the ball out over the plate a little bit, and Edmonds just drives the ball to the other way, and Perez playing him up the middle's got no chance. And nice to see Jim Edmonds on first base. But Dan O'Dowd has done a great job here in Colorado. He is really the mastermind behind what the Cleveland Indians did to come from a last-place team to a first-place team.
Right.
So I have a lot of respect for Dan O'Dowd.
Here's J.D. Drew. He's 2 for 2 tonight with a home run, a 2-run homer, and a base hit. Now 20 home runs and 44 RBIs on the year. J.D. last time up, 3rd inning. Unloaded here into right. A 2-run shot that brought around Vina. And back to live action. He pops this one up into shallow left. Backing up Perez, and Gant calls him off and makes the play. Edmonds back to first, and there's 2 down. You talk about Nagel, Hampton, and also Helton. With those contracts, Ricky, $100 million more than what it cost to build Coors Field. Is that unbelievable?
That is unbelievable. But I would say if you're going to invest $100 million in some players, you pick some pretty good ones in Hampton and Walker and Helton. Those guys are really top 10 type players in baseball, and you can build a team around guys like that.
Well, you take a risk, though. $123 million on a pitcher is risky. I mean, it's risky to hand out that kind of money to anybody, but in particular a pitcher. With one pitch could be done. But you could say the same thing with a position player. He makes one step, blows out a knee, or something of that ilk. But you're talking about a guy that if he blows out his arm, that's it. You've got $123 million going right to him.
But if a hitter blows out his knees, he can probably still hit, and he can probably still contribute in some way. If a pitcher, as you say, hurts his arm, it's pretty much
that's it. Let's see McGuire unload. He's starting to dial it in. He had a long single last night. The game before that, hit a ball hard at Wrigley Field for a base hit. And here tonight, he has walked and doubled. He's starting to see the timing get back for McGuire, and it's probably a direct correlation to playing every day. High strike there. 3-1.
You're talking about the contract with the pitcher. Think about the position that puts a big league manager in. He's got a guy who's a $100 million player, and he's thrown over his pitch limit, and it's the 8th inning. You wonder why managers are pulling guys so quickly. You're afraid to make a mistake with somebody.
The next to Big Mac is a ball low and in. So McGuire, for the 3rd time tonight, has reached base. And for Stasio, very uncharacteristic here. That's his 3rd walk in the game, and he's just struck out 2.
I'm not sure I'd want to pitch to McGuire either, but with Pujols, the guy hitting behind McGuire now, that really does change the way the Cardinal lineup looks like. With the power that he's shown, having 17 home runs and 55 RBIs already, and we're just in early June, that really gives the Cardinals quite a bit of power in the middle of their lineup, and that's something that the Redbirds really haven't had a whole lot of in their past, of having so many guys that can go deep. You think about Langford hitting 6th in the order, and he's got some pop. Renteria's got some pop. Edmonds hitting 2nd. There's a lot of power in this Cardinal lineup.
Chance here for Albert Pujols to add to this 3-0 lead. The Redbirds have 6 hits on the night. Pujols has an RBI now with 55. And the breaking ball is a strike from Stasio, and he is reaching that 75 pitch, 80 pitch mark here in the 5th. This will be 80 coming up here. 1st and 2nd, 2 away. We're in the 5th, and Andy Bennis has been very impressive in his start. The next to Pujols. He is up and in. And I assume that the Avalanche have just scored, unless they're very happy about that ball to Albert Pujols, which I doubt.
It's amazing how everyone seemed to erupt at the same time, as if everyone has a radio here. It wasn't one of those things that builds when 10 or 15 people here and they pass it on and pass it on. It's like it all happened at once, as if they gave you a transistor radio when you came into the ballpark here tonight.
Pujols fouls it away. That was like when McGuire was going for 70, and he hit 69 and 70, and everybody at the sport of golf knows the etiquette is to not go wild and don't say anything. You stay calm and watching it, and everybody at the Boone Valley Classic is kissing each other, hugging each other, going wild, and all these older guys are thinking, man, I made a 5-foot putt. What's the big deal? And then they started realizing we're in St. Louis here. Pujols, a drive the opposite way. That's trouble. Looking up, Walker, gone. 3-run home run for Albert Pujols. 6-0 St. Louis. 4 RBIs on the night for the rookie. He now has 58 on the year. A big 2-out hit on a 1-2 pitch. Pujols delivers, and it's 6-0 St. Louis.
Don't you love to see Pujols hitting a home run the opposite way? A big 3-run home run here in the 5th inning. He took a pitch from Stasio that was out over the plate, and he hit it right where it was pitched. Fastball on the outside part of the plate. It was up just a bit, and Pujols gets it up in that jet stream here in Denver. And that ball went about 375 feet, but it went enough, and Pujols with home run number 18 on the year.
58 RBIs now for Albert Pujols, and he is just 7 behind now Todd Helton. And he moved in front of Larry Walker. Pujols. J.D. Drew now at 20. Pujols with 18. And that's a strike on the outside corner. 4 RBIs. We're just in the 5th for Albert Pujols.
Pujols has a way, I've noticed, Dan, watching him hit, of making it look really easy. That was a 92-mile-an-hour fastball on the outside part of the plate, and he just got the bat on the ball, nice and easy swing. He doesn't overswing. He doesn't overcommit. He seems like he really sees the ball well, and he just kind of looks like a natural.
And what were we saying before? With 2 strikes, widens his stance a little bit, widens his zone, and there's a drive into right center off the bat of Langford. That's in the gap. Langford, boy, he is running well there into second, and he'll stop with a double with hit number 8 on the night for the Redbirds. Boy, that's as well as we've seen Ray Langford run all year.
I saw the same thing that you did, Dan, when he rounded first base. Not really a triple, but look how hard he goes from first to second. He got there in a hurry. He was moving. Looked like a young Ray Langford there, going to second base on a double. If there was any chance at 3, he was thinking about it, but great to see Ray Langford hit the ball that hard and run that well.
8 hits on the night, 6-0 Redbirds, and this is exactly what the doctor ordered here in Colorado to try to snap this 4-game losing streak. Cardinals needed a game like this, and they needed a start like this from Andy Bennis. Albert Pujols, 4 RBIs on the night. J.D. Drew, the home run, 2-run shot. And here's what you're talking about, that smooth swing of number 5.
You saw the wide strike zone. He doesn't make a lot of movement with his front foot. He's just basically got his feet still, his hands back, and he hit that ball hard to right field as the Rockies begin loosening a right-hander.
His second home run to the opposite way. That's trouble off the bat of Renteria. Langford coming around. The throw to the plate is not in time. RBI for Edgar, and it's 7-0 St. Louis. Renteria with his 20th RBI on the year. He's 1 for 3 with that RBI, and it's 7-0.
There's a fastball right down central, middle part of the plate, and Renteria does what you're supposed to do, line the ball up the middle. Estacio has not been hitting his spots. He's throwing a lot of pitches that are hittable up in the strike zone and out over the plate, and the Cardinals are making him pay for it.
So the RBIs tonight, 4 for Pujols, 2 off the bat of J.D. Drew with his 20th home run, and now this one moments ago by Renteria. And here's Mike Matheny, who has a base hit tonight against Estacio. 9 hits now for St. Louis. That sounds like it's 3-0.
Well, you think so. A whole bunch of folks high-fiving each other in the stands here.
And their club is down 7-0. Popped up behind home plate and out of play.
I can tell you, they may not say something about it, but the Rocky guys sitting in the dugout right now probably aren't real excited about having the fans go so crazy when your team is losing, as you say, 7-0.
And they put it up on the board. It's 3-0 Avalanche. And the Pepsi Center, the home of the Avs, is just 10 blocks away from where we are. So let's get this thing over with and head for cover in downtown St. Louis and in downtown Denver. The last time the Avalanche won was back in '96. They beat the Florida Panthers in 4 straight, and there was actually, Ricky, riots in the downtown area. And I say it in jest a little bit, but I'm kind of serious. Let's get out of here.
Well, I'm following you. So you got to tell me where to go to stay out of the problem.
Big guy like you, I'm following you. I'm a lightweight. See, this is the one game that we really needed Al Raboski here. And he's not here. He's in the hospital, resting comfortably. That's tap foul.
Well, I wasn't sure whether it'd be more of a riot if the Avs won or if they lost. You'd think that both would produce some kind of reaction among the hockey fans, hockey faithful here in Denver.
Well, if they hold on, good for Ray Borth. Guy that's been in the NHL for over 20 seasons. Matheny just hangs in there and shoots it right over by the dugout of the Rockies. At 47,000 here at Coors. It's sold out, but there are some empty seats because of what's happening tonight here in downtown at the Pepsi Center. So a lot of folks staying away and watching that game at home, and there's 18,000 at the Pepsi Center. Matheny into shallow center. That's trouble. Running hard is Renteria all the way to third, bobbled by Pierre, but he'll get it back in, and it's first and third. Double figures in the hit department now for the Redbirds. 2 for that man. Matheny, 10 on the night for the club, and it's 7-0 Redbirds as Andy Bennis will try to continue this. For Estacio, I'm sure this will be the last man he faces one way or the other.
Yeah, Estacio is just not getting the job done here as Matheny serves another base hit to center, as he served one to left field earlier in Matheny is getting on track. At least he's got a couple of hits, and Renteria seemed a little bit confused running the bases there, and did a good job of picking up Jose Oquendo at third, which is all he has to do. Is you can't look behind you and look where the ball is. You got to look at your coach, and he maybe had a chance of scoring that.
Breaking ball, a strike to Andy Bennis. Andy tonight is grounded to first and flied to right.
Pierre looks a little uncomfortable playing the outfield. He's made a couple of weak throws and did not look good on that ball, charging it.
Jam shot, Walker to the shortstop, barely got him. The force at second, Mike Matheny. But Albert Pujols has done some damage. The Cardinals plate 4 in the inning, 3 on that swing, 7-0 Redbirds. This portion of Cardinal baseball on WB11 is brought to you by CarX Auto Service. More than you thought for less than you think. 18 neighborhood locations. And by Jack in the Box, where we don't make it till you order it. Jack in the Box. Andy Bennis back to the mound. Has not given up a hit so far as we move to the bottom of the 5th. And it's 7-0 Redbirds on 10 hits. And here at Coors Field, they're showing the highlights of the Avalanche game. They are up 3-0. Rick Horton is with us. Al Raboski is a bit under the weather tonight. And I'm Dan McLaughlin. Thanks for being with us tonight. This has been a good one so far. Trivia question for tonight, brought to you by Suntrip. What is Bud Smith's real first name? Let's answer it. It is Bob Robert Allen Smith.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. I figured you would.
I knew it wasn't Ozzy.
No, it wasn't. There's Bud Smith. Talking it over with Barry Weinberg, the Cardinal trainer. 7-0 Redbirds. So move to the bottom of the 5th. Bennis has faced the minimum. As we told you, we could see Bud Smith in relief work before he makes his scheduled start, which will be next Saturday. Here is Todd Helton, up by 7, but still you don't feel safe. You're never out of the woods here.
You never feel safe. Bennis has only thrown 42 pitches through 4 innings, which is spectacular. 25 of those strikes, and again gets ahead of Helton with a first pitch fastball.
First time up, Helton struck out. That pitch is a ball, 1-1. Different mannerisms by Andy Bennis tonight. As you have pointed out, Ricky, he seems a lot more relaxed, a lot calmer, but also in just watching him pitch, much more aggressive here tonight.
You can almost see it on his face. You know, there is a confidence factor, there's an aggressiveness factor, and that again is a little bit different than being competitive. Nobody's going to tell you Andy Bennis isn't competitive, but you can almost tell on a hitter's face or on a pitcher's face when they feel like they're on their game.
That's a rope into right, and that's the first base hit on the night for Colorado. Felton is 1 for 2. Look at that violent, controlled swing, doesn't he?
Yeah, he is such a good hitter, and that pitch was down in the strike zone. Not a bad spot for Andy Bennis to be throwing the ball down and away, particularly here in this ballpark. And you're only going to hold Helton down so much, but if you can keep him to a scratch single here and there, you're still getting the job done.
Cirillo certainly is a double play candidate. We've seen a double play tonight. That was off the bat of Larry Walker to end the first. And the first pitch to the third baseman is a ball outside. This guy is a doubles machine. Jeff Cirillo had a double last night, hitting .297. 8 home runs and 32 RBIs.
He's had a lot of success, excuse me, Dan, against Bennis as well. He's hit .455 against Andy Bennis in his career with just 1 home run, but 10 hits and 22 at-bats, so he obviously sees the ball well against Andy, but I just assume him hit a strong one-hopper to second base right now.
1 ball, 1 strike on Cirillo. He grounded to short, and his only at-bat against Bennis here tonight. Good play by Renteria. Pena, the quick hands to first, and McGuire can't hold on. And Vina was taken out hard by Helton at second. Quick play on the one-hopper to Renteria. What a turn here by Vina. We talk about it time and again, but Ricky, he is as good as anybody with that turn.
Vina is a hard guy to get to. He's so quick around the bag. He's quick with his hands, but Helton was able to upend his left leg and send Vina flying, and that looked like that hurt a little bit, almost like he got a hit in the mouth, or I don't know whether he hit the ground or actually hit Helton's leg, but made the throw just a little bit wide at first base and still almost able to get Cirillo in a double play.
What a way to start it by Renteria. Here is Todd Walker.
What a great play by Renteria. He's really shown a good glove today. And there's Vina getting dumped, and that was just a little bit wide.
Looked like he caught a shin of Helton in the face, maybe his ankle. With one out, here's Todd Walker. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Vina's a tough dude, though. He'll deal with that.
We were talking before about the great turns of Fernando Vina. And of course, Ricky, you played with Ozzie Smith. Maybe none better at getting the ball out of the glove, but this guy's right up there with him, if not better.
Wouldn't you have loved to see those two guys play together? Wouldn't that have been fun to watch?
Scary, because George Kissel, who's been around in the Cardinals organization, as we mentioned before, for over 60 years, has said Vina is the best he has ever seen, ever, at turning the double play.
Well, if George Kissel said it, it's true.
Yep, and he's seen them all. The 1-1 pitch. Shot into left. Langford backing up, makes the play. Hard hit ball, but right at Ray, and Colorado has hit into some tough luck here tonight. Well, as you know, a baseball game in Denver is like riding a roller coaster with all the unexpected twists and turns. This is what you get to do when you do television, is read these promos. So hold on to your wigs and keys as the Cards wind up this stint with the Rockies tomorrow at 2 here on WB11.
My wig and my keys.
Yes.
Okay.
In other words, make sure you tune in at 2. We'll have baseball. Here's Ron Gant.
I have been at a place where my brother-in-law dropped his cell phone on a roller coaster, but never wigs and keys.
No. Did they ever find it?
Yeah.
Did they really?
A lot of pieces.
You know, a lot of pieces, yeah. Wasn't working anymore, I take it.
No. Bad move.
1-0 pitch to Gant. Tied him up. Popped up. Behind home plate and out of play.
There's Ron Gant. We've seen that swing here, and when he was a member of the St. Louis Cardinals, Ron Gant is looking to go deep pretty much every time. And you make a mistake with him, and he's still got a lot of power. Actually, he looks good. His body looks good. It looks like he's in good shape, but he's definitely got some holes in his strike zone.
Why would you ever throw anything inside to Ron Gant or in the middle half?
If you do it, you do it by mistake, because that's not really the book on him. You want to make him try to hit the ball to right field. He's tried to do that. J.D. Drew is playing him so far to pull in right center. He's playing in the right center field gap because he knows he's not going to hit the ball to right field.
297 career home runs for Gant. Signed that big free agent contract with the Cardinals back in '96 and was part of that winner.
Take a look at the Cardinal outfield. J.D. Drew, that is called extremely to pull. Edmonds is shallow as always in center field, and Ray Langford playing him extremely to pull and deep in left field.
Those numbers pretty impressive for Ron Gant, even though the average isn't great at 256. The numbers are pretty good. There's a base hit up the middle off the bat of Gant. Edmonds bobbles it in center, but none doing for the men on the base paths, as Cirillo will have to stay at second, first and second, with 2 outs. Second hit in the inning.
There's a fastball on the outside part of the plate. He didn't hit it to right field, but he did get the good part of the bat on the ball, driving it up the middle. That's really the best way to hit. That's what you teach young hitters to do, is have a nice controlled swing and try to line the ball up the middle. That's the way you hit. And if you make a little bit of a mistake and miss the ball by a 1/16 of an inch, it may be a gapper or a home run, but you got to start by trying to hit a line drive up the middle. That's what all young kids ought to do when you get a bat in your hand.
Petrick is hitting .255. He struck out his first time up, looks at his strike. It's first and second with 2 down. A 7-0 Redbirds lead. Petrick Has 5 runs in his last 2 games. He opened the season 1 for 22, but still, since then, has batted .320. The 0-1 from Bennis. He's got him 0-2. Let's see if he can put him away.
Landy's given up a couple of hits this inning, but he's still throwing the ball well. He's still hitting spots pretty well. That ball that can't hit was up maybe a little bit more than he'd wanted to be. He's probably trying to get that ball down and away, and it got up a little bit in the strike zone. But for the most part, Andy is not leaving the ball hanging out over the middle of the plate like he's done in previous starts. It's just great to see him making so many quality pitches.
Jacob Cruz has stepped on deck. He will hit for Pedro Stasio if Petrick can extend the inning. Here comes the 0-2 from Andy Bennis. They want it upstairs, and he hits his mark. It's a good pitch.
Well, there's a case right there. Mike Matheny gave him the glove up high in the way, and it was an 0-2 pitch trying to get Petrick to chase it. There Mike goes, wants the ball up and out of the strike zone, and look where the ball ends up. Up, out over the strike zone, just off the plate. So obviously they know something about Petrick, and that's a good sign again that Andy's got pinpoint control tonight.
The 1-2 pitch is fouled away again. We talked about it, Ricky, in the open. You don't have to have that overpowering fastball like he once did, but if you hit your spots, you can succeed at this level with an 88-mile-an-hour fastball.
There's no question. The next pitch that Andy throws is down in the strike zone, and Mike was probably wanting to change the eye level of the hitter by getting him to look at a ball up in the strike zone and then come back down. What you're always trying to do when you're pitching, if you're doing a good job, is change the eye level of the hitter, and it's just, you know, if you throw everything on the same plane, sooner or later they're going to smoke it.
Here comes a 1-2 from Andy Bennis. Great block by Mike Matheny. That'll give you some confidence to throw that in the dirt.
How many times have you said that? Oh, great block by Mike Matheny. There he is. He's got his knees down. He's got his chest leaning forward like a catcher's supposed to do. He's got the ball totally blocked. There's no chance that ball is going to go anywhere other than forward or down in front of him. The way he leaned forward keeps the ball down into the ground instead of bouncing back onto the infield. Perfect control. Perfect position for Mike Matheny.
Caught it with that bobblehead. The chin. The 2-2 pitch to Petrick. Ooh, just missed, and a full count now. Pretty good 2-2 pitch here.
That's very close. That's very close.
Hopefully this does not come back to haunt Andy Bennis. Cruz awaits on deck. Andy has a pair of strikeouts in this game. Trying to get Petrick here, who struck out his first time up. Only 2 hits on the night for the Rockies. The runners start, and it's a walk. That's the second walk handed out by Andy Bennis, and coming into this game, he had walked his 2 batters in his last 4 starts. That covered a span of 22 innings, and now Dave Duncan will talk it over with Bennis, and they'll get a little book on Cruz here with the bases loaded. The pitch count for the right-hander Andy Bennis is at 63. That's not bad.
Still not bad. He's thrown about 20 pitches this inning, which makes it a good move for Duncan to come out and talk to him. He doesn't have a high pitch count, but he has thrown over 20, and you can actually get winded in the middle of a really long inning, and you don't take the time to maybe just sit there and take a deep breath, and maybe that's a little bit of what Duncan's doing, because he's not missing by much right now.
This season, 11 starts. You can see that he's close to 100 pitches per start. Cardinal Baseball is a production of Bud Sports and an exclusive presentation of Fox Sports Net. It's a key moment in this game. 7-0. Just 2 hits on the night for the Rockies, but they have the bases loaded. Here's the pinch hitter, Jacob Cruz.
I think you make 7-0 about 3-0 in a normal ballpark.
Absolutely.
That's probably the right correlation, and I think everybody in this ballpark senses that, and I agree with you. This is a key batter in this ballgame.
Bases loaded. First pitch is up to Cruz, who pinch hit last night. He's played in every contest. 6 games for the Rockies since the trade. 0 for 7, though, with the bases loaded with a strikeout. Next by Andy. 2-0.
He looked a little tight on that last delivery, like he was aiming the ball. We'd like to see him throw a little bit more free and easy. One thing when a pitcher starts to aim it, you lose a little bit of velocity, but you also lose a little bit of the movement that we've been talking about, so you're better off just letting it go.
Runners on, hitting .347, bases loaded here. There's a strike, 2-1. Well, with 2-0, a 7-0 lead. He stares at a fastball right down the middle.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Big pitch here. 2 balls and a strike. Fouled away, 2-2. And let's see if Andy can get out of the inning.
Well, that's the difference between a good hitter and a bad hitter. The good hitter will hit the pitch that's his pitch. And the bad hitter, and I'm not saying Cruz is a bad hitter, but when you're struggling or when you're not, one of the top hitters in the game, you end up letting that fastball down the middle go and then swinging at the breaking ball in the dirt. It's just a classic thing that you need to be a disciplined hitter, but you need to know when it's your pitch to hit.
The next by the right-hander. Just missed inside. Wow, where was that pitch? And it's a full count now on Cruz, and Tony La Russa wondering where the heck that pitch was.
Andy's a little bit animated after that pitch. He needs to take a little bit of a deep breath as he hit through the ball right on the inside corner. The ball came back over the inside part of the plate, and I guess home plate umpire Rick Reed saw it a little bit different than certainly Andy Bennis did.
Well, he's got to give him one side or the other. Batter before was called a ball. There is the first run of the game for Colorado.
Well, here's a test. Got to be a test of Andy's composure right here. He's had a couple of pitches not go his way. Could have had a couple of strikeouts, but instead finds himself giving up a run by walking both Petrick and Cruz back to back. And with the top of the Colorado Rocky order coming up and going on his 30th pitch of this inning, the 5th inning, Andy's got to take a deep breath and relax and just start over again.
Now some of that bullpen for the Cardinals begins to stretch and loosen up, limber up. Here's Juan Pierre, who's 0 for 2 with a pair of groundouts. Bases loaded, 7-1. Up and away from Andy. You want to see him make sure and get out of this inning. Have a chance to win this ball game. He should have been out the hitter before.
And he's got to get that out of his mind. And that's a really hard thing to do, Dan, when you're out there on the mound and you feel like you've been robbed.
Hit to short. Renteria. Vina.
Nice job.
Very nice job. As Pierre is 0 for 3, their leadoff man, and Tony La Russa, a big sigh of relief in that Redbird dugout. Fernando Vina providing the defense in this inning. 7-1 Redbirds. If you're looking for a new idea for your child's birthday for kids 15 and under, the Cardinals Birthday Bash is a great way to celebrate that very special day. Each child receives a special visit from Redbird and a Cardinals gift bag, while the birthday child receives their name on the stadium message board along with an autographed ball by one of the Cardinals players. For more information on that, 421-3060. Call the Cardinals sales department at 314-421-3060 to schedule your child's birthday bash today.
Justin Spire will be the new Rockies pitcher here in the Cardinal half of the 6th innings. Spire is 6'4", 205-pound right-hander and the son of a former Cardinal player, as well as pretty much every other team in the major leagues. Chris Spire, former teammate of mine, and just a great guy, and it's fun to see his son here pitching in the big leagues. He's been in 3 games so far this year with a high ERA of 11.25, and he's a much bigger than his dad, I would say, at first glance, and it seems like he throws 3/4 and rushes it up there pretty good.
Top of the order, he'll face 7-1 Redbirds, so the book on Estacio is closed. And welcome to the game, Mr. Spire. Vina, a one-hop base hit into center, and Fernando tonight is 2 for 4. Also has a run scored, and that'll bring in Jim Edmonds.
I hate to keep picking on the center fielder Pierre, but he plays such a deep center field as opposed to the batter Jim Edmonds does for the Redbirds. It is such an advantage for a pitcher, for the center fielder to play shallow. When you've got Fernando Vina hitting a bloop to center field, that ball's got to be caught. I mean, it really does. And he's playing so deep, and granted, this is a big ballpark, but you've got to make Fernando Vina hit the ball over your head. That's a play Jim Edmonds makes because he's playing shot.
Right. Here's the Gold Glover. Has a base hit tonight, and he looks at a strike. In-game box tonight for the St. Louis Cardinals. Vina, very productive. Drew, the home run. Pujols, 4 RBIs. McGuire's reached base 3 times, and Renteria has an RBI. Edmonds is 1 for 2 with a pair of runs scored. Quickly 0-2.
Isn't that great to see every position player with at least 1 hit? Andy Bennis is 0 for 3, but who cares? He's doing the job on the mound, and you get production from throughout the lineup.
No balls, 2 strikes as Edmonds trying to fight off that sun that's creeping in that batter's box. Gets a pitch to hit and drive and hits it into a double play. Tough luck that Edmonds hits into as Vina doubled up, and Edmonds holding that right shoulder. Assume he's going to be okay, and there's 2 outs here in the 6th.
Well, there's an at-bat he just as soon not have. He had the sun in his eyes, which is a really strange situation with the sun out in left field, almost like it was shining right in Jim Edmonds' eyes, only his, and I'm sure he had a hard time picking up the ball, but he hits the ball at the end of the bat, which probably stung and hurt his shoulder. And not only that, you had insult to injury to hit into a double play with Vina not able to get back to the bag on the line drive to second.
Here's Drew, who has that home run, now 20, a career high for him. He's 2 for 3, back in the lineup tonight. Fights off a pitch and goes the opposite way. A 3-hit night now for J.D. And Ricky, we are starting to see him, as I said before, come into his own. And he's a player now playing with just a different look about him, different confidence about him.
But he just seems so relaxed at the plate right now, so comfortable and confident in his abilities. He's not the player he was last year, that's for sure. He's gotten much better at hitting the breaking ball, number 1. He stays back better, number 2. He's got a base hit up the middle, base hit to left, and a homer to right. And, what more can you ask for out of Drew?
Here's McGuire, who gets under this one and pops it up on the infield. Second baseman Walker wants it and has it, and McGuire tonight for the first time is set down. But J.D. has gone to right, center, and left. 3 hits on the night. 7-1 St. Louis. 11 hits on the night for the Redbirds as we move to the bottom of the 6th. And let's see how Andy Bennis, Rick Horton, responds in this inning. Now, he gave up a run last inning. He walked a couple in the inning, and he gave up his first hits in that inning, but the outs were even. A couple of hard hit balls. So let's see how he responds here with Nefi Perez, Larry Walker, and Todd Helton.
We certainly got a challenging part of the Rockies order here in the 6th inning, but I think the rest will do him good after throwing a lot of pitches in the last inning, just to be able to sit down, put that towel back on his arm again, and just kind of relax and assess the damage and say, okay, I gave up 1 run on 2 hits. It's not a big deal. I still have a 7-1 lead. Just relax and go out there and get the leadoff hitter out again.
Beautiful night here in Denver, Colorado. Al Hrabosky, the night off, bit under the weather, and Rick Horton doing a great job filling in. The first pitch is strike from Andy Bennis, and you were watching Cardinals baseball on WB11, KPLR's St. Louis. Perez tonight has walked and popped out. He's 0 for 1 and has a base hit down the right field line. And Perez takes his time up the first baseline, and that's the 3rd hit on the night for Colorado, and this could be a dangerous situation here. Even though you're up by 6 runs, now you got Walker, Helton, and Cirillo.
Well, just the situation you don't want is to have Walker coming up with anybody on base. We know the way he can drive in runs. Perez takes a ball that was away from him and just drives the ball into right field. Pretty good swing by Perez, and normally a threat to steal, but 7-1, I don't think he's going anywhere here.
3rd time through the lineup, clubs are hitting over 360 against Andy Bennis, and here is 34-year-old Larry Walker. Hit into a double play to end the first. He's also flied out. One of the great players in Major League Baseball, Larry Walker. Came up with Montreal back in 1989. Vina, great play, double play. Just what he needed. And he hits into his second double play. Good start of that double play by Fernando.
Andy Bennis is a happy camper right now as we see a carbon copy of what happened in the top of the 6th inning. A line that drive to second base. It almost seemed like Vina was kind of deking the runner there, as if he was going to pretend he couldn't make that play, and then at the last minute jumps up and catches it, and Andy is all smile.
He's been animated tonight, hasn't he?
He really has. Like he's having a good time.
Here's Helton, and he looks at a strike. So what was potentially a dangerous situation now erased with 2 outs, nobody on, and Andy ahead in the count against Helton. He's been ahead every time against Helton. This is the 3rd time he's been to the plate. He's 1 for 2. Picked up the first hit on the night for Colorado, and it's quickly 0-2.
Well, Helton didn't like that pitch, so that's basically the pitch that Andy didn't get in the last inning, although that one was more up in the strike zone, and that's that high strike that we've been seeing all year. And Helton, I guess, doesn't really think that that's a good rule.
I think you're right. That pitch was up, but Edmonds is there as it carries to him. So Andy Bennis, he says, wow, and he gets out of the inning. Perez, Walker, and Helton set down. All smiles for Andy. He's up by 6 runs. Saturday, June 16th, the Cardinals play the White Sox in interleague play. It's Gateway Arch Run the Bases Day. All fans ages 15 and under will be allowed to run the bases after the Cardinals game and receive a free tram ride ticket courtesy of the Gateway Arch. Here's Albert Pujols to lead things off, and Albert has had a nice series now with 5 RBIs. Last night he picked up this deep fly into left, a home run, and Pujols again tonight. He goes the opposite way, and that's a 3-run shot. He has 4 RBIs tonight and 5 in the first 2 games of this series. What a pleasure to watch Albert Pujols play this game at just 21 years of age. It's 7-1 St. Louis as we head into the top of the 7th. Pujols, Langford, and Renteria. Big swing and a miss against Justin Spire, working in his 2nd inning. Andy Bennis has done a very good job in his start tonight.
Pujols did not have a very good series the first time here in Colorado. Did not really hit the ball that well, but he's doing okay here as he gets his 2nd hit of the night. Got 4 RBIs, home run, sacrifice fly, and he is really showing that he is a big-time big league player.
There was some concern, Ricky, when Albert came into this series and talking with Tony La Russa about him wearing down just a bit, but he's disproving that. The first 2 games, thought his swing was, I didn't want to say lazy, but it wasn't quite as quick as it once was maybe about 3 weeks ago, but it's pretty darn good. Here's Ray Langford.
I think you worry about that with any young player, and Tony La Russa's been around a long time, and he knows that there's a whole lot of difference between playing a college season and playing 162 games and playing, you know, maybe a few games under pressure and playing every night under pressure and under the spotlight. And those things can get to you, but at least to this point, he's managed to stay strong. He's still hitting the ball good, and really, again, I just do not see a hole in his strike zone yet. And I know the pitchers, they're talking about it. They're talking about it all over the league right now. And scouts are here at the game tonight from Kansas City, who we're going to play next, and they're trying to find out what pitch he can't hit. And to this point, I don't think anybody's come up with an answer.
And I think a concern has to be, as Langford is 1 for 3 with a double and a run scored, is Albert is here at the ballpark, and I know that you were here very early, but he's usually, if not the first guy, within the first 5 guys to arrive at the ballpark, and he's always taken extra batting practice. He's accommodating to the media, and he's one of the great stories in baseball. So every time we come into a new town, people want to talk about him and do a nice story on him. He's the only Cardinal to play in every game. USA Today has done a story. He's been on the cover of Baseball Weekly, and yet he's always doing the extra things, the batting practice, infield, outfield, and at some point, as much as you love to see it, you're going to have to, some of the veterans are going to have to say to him, you're going to have to just cut it back just a little bit because it is such a long season. You're going to wear down.
The word I would use would be to manage it. You need to learn how to manage all of the demands that are on your time, which include the extra work. It includes the promotional aspect of being a Major League Baseball player, and it includes signing autographs. You can't sign every autograph. Sure, you love kids and you want to help them, but he'll need to have some veteran player teach him how to manage all the demands that are on a guy who's a Major League player and a star Major League player at a young age. it's even harder on those guys.
Right. Kind of interesting move there to see on a 3-1 pitch. Pujols off and running, up by 6 runs, but you are in Coors Field. The 3-2, a high drive into right center. Pierre has room, and he'll make the play, and back to first goes Albert Pujols. 1 away.
I think they're trying to stay out of the double play right here, and that's an indication that Tony La Russa doesn't believe this game is over yet.
Right.
And I think that kind of thing you do in another ballpark at another time, and you kind of, you know, incur some wrath and a little bit of an ire of the other team when that happens, but not here.
But when you're here, you throw out the book, don't you?
Exactly. Those unwritten rules, you rewrite them. In fact, and you know, you almost have to play the game differently here.
Now, you never had a chance to play here at Coors Field, but you did pitch in Denver, right?
I threw the ball in Denver, yeah. Actually, my last year after I was released by the Cardinals, I played with the Brewers, and their AAA team actually played at Mile High Stadium, which was about the distance of a lot of the home runs I gave up there. It was a horrible, horrible place to pitch. The ballpark was huge, and it seemed like, you know, I could barely see my outfielders, and every ball that was hit in the outfield was in the gap, and when we got up in the air, it was a home run. It just was a horrible place to pitch, and really tough on the pitcher's confidence level and
psyche and everything else.
There's no doubt about it.
1 ball, 1 strike here on Renteria.
A little bit of therapy, and I'm okay now.
That's good to hear. A little worried about that. Good play by the secret weapon, Jose Oquendo. I figured that Tony La Russa does not have a soft spot in his heart for Rick Horton, considering you were part of that 1988 team that broke his heart in the World Series.
I've never brought that up to him, and I'm hoping he doesn't know that, actually. I was part of the bullpen, but, you know, I didn't really see any action during the World Series. I just watched Hershiser and Tudor and Tim Belcher get the job done, and I warmed up a couple of times, but never got any action.
Renteria, deep fly into left center. Pierre near the track and puts it away. Gets it back in. Pujols back to first. No doubt one of the greatest home runs ever. Kirk Gibson off an Eck.
That was a spectacular moment. And, you know, I had a couple of moments at Dodger Stadium. Jack Clark's home run in the 85 World Series, or 85 playoffs. I was in the right field bullpen for that one, and then the left field bullpen for Kirk Gibson's home run off of Eckersley. And 2 very dramatic moments in baseball history, and I was very happy to have been on the right team both times.
Ozzy's home run at Busch off of Niedenfuhr. Here's Mike Matheny. There's Tom Wallace. You'd have thought it was in the 3rd deck at Busch when he hit his home run, flipping the bat against Mr. Viola of the Minnesota Twins.
Don't think I have to hear about that all the time.
I bet you do. You see him an awful lot, don't you?
I see him quite a bit. He's one of my bridge partners. We get together quite a bit with Van Slyke and Daly and Worrell and Scott Terry and some of the old Cardinal guys who still live in St. Louis, and we play bridge together. And
bridge partners?
Oh, yeah.
What are you, 67?
We're cerebral ex-players is what we are.
Here's Mike Matheny off the end of the bat. Pierre and Gant looking up. That's trouble. A 1-hopper off the wall. Here comes Albert Pujols, and Mike Matheny has 3 hits on the night.
And that's the first ball Mike's hit hard tonight, and he smoked that ball. He served a couple of base hits his first 2 times up, but he got a ball that he liked from Justin Spire and drove the ball into left center. And that ball came close to getting out of the park. It just kept carrying, and Mike hit that ball right on the nose. I'm sure he's very happy standing there at second base. He's probably thinking that that's a hit. That's a real hit. The first 2 were kind of bloop hits, but that's a real hit.
And Albert crosses the plate for the 8th run. And it's 8-1 St. Louis. Now back to this bridge thing. I can't let you off the hook on this one.
I was afraid you weren't going to go back to that.
Here's Andy Venice.
You have to be 67 to play bridge?
No, and I don't mean that. I know we've got...
What do you play, war?
No, I don't, you know. I'm a fan of the Casino Queen.
Oh, okay.
And I just, you know, I head down there and try my luck.
Whatever floats your boat.
Uh-huh. That or I head out to St. Chuck. You know, there's all kinds of places to have some fun. Harris?
Nothing more fun than sitting around with a bunch of ex-teammates, remembering the camaraderie about you know, what it was like to be in special games and certain pitches and playing bridge.
Yeah, I can imagine. It just must be an exciting time over the holidays with the Hortons and the Van Slyke getting together. Maybe a fruit bowl and some punch, and you guys are just having some fun. You're crazy, I'm telling you.
I may surprise you with this too, but Van Slyke may be the best player of all. I mean, that goofy guy may be the best player.
There's no way. If it's cerebral, there's no way that guy is dominating bridge games between you and Lawless. No way. I'm going to take you to the Casino Queen, I promise. You and Van Slyke. A double for Mike Matheny. It's 8-1 St. Louis. Well, it's 8-1 St. Louis with the sun setting here in Denver, Colorado. 14 hits on the night for the Redbirds after having just 4 hits last night. Mike Matheny has done a great job. His 6th career 3-hit game behind the plate. Stellar defensively as always. And Andy Bennis has been out there. This is as good as we've seen him all year.
You've got 2 guys who've been scuffling, having good days here. Mike Matheny behind the plate with 3 hits, and Andy Bennis with a very strong 6 innings, at least so far, giving up just the 3 hits, and he's been superb tonight.
Beanie's helped out, part of a couple of double plays off the bat of Larry Walker, and Cirillo will lead things off. He's grounded to short, hit into a fielder's choice, hitting .295, and Albert Pujols. Just doing what Albert Pujols does best, driving the ball everywhere here in the ballpark.
Well, you can go around this Cardinal defense and you can find a hero tonight. You know, J.D. Drew, 3 big hits tonight.
Home run, a 2-run homer.
Including a 2-run homer, 2 base hits. A lot of stars tonight.
Here's Cirillo. Up there swinging, down by 7 runs in the first pitch from Andy Bennis.
It's fine with me.
They're trying to get out of downtown, I'm telling you.
Probably
going to be nuts tonight if the Avs can hold on. Todd Walker is on deck. Fly ball deep into left. Langford going back at the track, looking up, and it's gone. Just got over the fence. Lead-off home run for Cirillo.
Well, that's a Colorado home run for you. You hit that ball off balance.
And off the end of the bat,
off the end of the bat, he hit it to the right part of the field, just down the line, the shortest part of this field. But he did not get a good swing at it, but he got the good part of the bat on the ball. It was a fastball out over the plate and just drove it into the left field stands out of Ray Langford's reach, and that's one of those Colorado home runs.
Yeah. He was off balance. You described it correctly. Looked like he had it with just one arm, and off the end of the bat, and finds itself over the fence. And here's Todd Walker, who tore up Cardinal pitching in the first series here at Coors. It's now 8-2. Cardinals with a 6-run lead. Walker tonight has flied to left and lined to left. He's 0 for 2, hitting .327.
I have to give Cirillo a little bit of credit there. That's one of the things that you find in the players today is they're just so much stronger, I think, than the players were 15, 20 years ago with weightlifting and workouts. They're able to hit balls like that further because of their strength.
You know, you were talking about speedy defenses, and that's what Dan O'Dowd has done here, and still Andy Bennis is under 90 pitches. I think about the teams that you had a chance to play for in St. Louis with the great speed of Van Slyke and McGee and Coleman and Ozzie Smith and Burr and Pendleton. I mean, that team in this ballpark probably would have had success. Now, they would have not put up huge numbers with the home run department, but they would have had success defensively here.
I don't think there's any doubt about that. And you say defensively, that's what probably was the hallmark of all those players, is they were such great defensive players. And yeah, they were speedy too, but they made the pitchers that much better. You can't afford to give away outs to major league level, but certainly not here. You don't want a guy not getting the ball in the gap, but you know, when you had McGee and Van Slyke in the outfield, I mean, just let them hit it essentially, and they were going to run it down. And those guys were spectacular players and competitors and fun to watch play day in and day out.
Gant is 1 for 2. Mike James is warming up for St. Louis in the Cardinal bullpen. It'll be the top of the order for the Redbirds in the 8th. With 1 out, the 1-1 pitch to Gant. He's not getting any corners.
It wasn't a bad pitch right there. Breaking ball just off the outside corner. to Gant. That's the kind of pitch Gant does not handle very well.
Right. He's ahead in the count here. That's the same pitch. 2-2.
Sometimes you just throw it there again and just hope that he gets it right. That was just a little bit outside, Dan. I must say, after I had an experience when I was 16 of umpiring a Little League baseball game, and it was so hard, I swore I would never complain about an umpire ever.
The 3-2 pitch is tap foul. I did the same thing.
I had parents yelling at me.
Oh,
and they were right. Hey,
you were terrible, right?
And I said, you're right, I'm terrible. And I threatened to quit in the middle of the game. I just did, I mean, it wasn't worth the $5. I think that was the going rate at the time.
8-2 St. Louis. Gant. Nice play by Pujols. Shows off the arm. At first, safe. And boy, Andy Bennis throws up his arms in disgust. He thought he was out. What a strong arm there by Albert Pujols, and he's considered to have one of the strongest arms in the organization.
Well, he kept that ball under him. He made a great play, and that is a very close play at first base. I'd like to see that one more time, and he looks like he is out. Andy Bennis got that call right. But what a great play by Pujols. A hard hit ball down the line. He smothers the ball, has good hands, comes up throwing, does everything quickly, and he wasn't happy about it either.
Al Clark is our first base umpire. He got that one wrong for sure.
That's one of those ones that's really tough. You got the ball coming from a hard angle with deep third base. You got the ball short hop, and you got the wire stretching. Basically, his glove is a bad position for the umpire to be able to see it. The umpire is looking at the base and listening for a noise, and you're not going to hear a noise on the ball in the dirt. And it's very difficult call. Not to give Al Clark too much credit on the play that he missed, but that is a tough call for an umpire at first base.
That's a good point from his vantage point. A little tougher to see, so Andy Bennis is done with one out. Here in the 7th, after he gave up the home run to Cirillo, he got Walker, Gant reaches, and it's up to Mike James. Fantastic outing for Andy Bennis. Gives up 5 hits here at Coors Field. Pitches into the bottom of the 7th, does get an out here in this inning, and now he'll turn it over to Mike James, appearing for the 26th time this season, and the Cardinals up by a 6-run cushion. But hey, a veteran steps up to the plate here, Rick Horton, and Andy Bennis, and delivers, because this was an important game. The Cubs have won, so you have the opportunity or the misfortune of falling 6 games back if you don't win in this game. Plus, you're trying to get off a 4-game schneid, and Andy Bennis comes through in a big way tonight.
I think it's a big game, not just for the Cardinals, but for Andy Bennis personally, to get himself on a little bit of a roll. Again, coming off a good start against the Cincinnati Reds. He's now put back-to-back good starts together. And he had to be thinking coming into Colorado that there's at least a chance of a blow-up. And for him to be able to do the job he did here in Colorado, it's just more than you could ask for, and good for Andy Bennis.
Here is Mike James to Ben Petrick. With 1 out and a man on. That's Gant at first after he reached on the infield single. Good pitch by James, a sidewinder.
I like getting Andy Bennis out of the game at this point, too, where he's given up 2 runs. He could maybe stay in there. Maybe he could finish the 7th. Maybe he could pitch 8 innings. But you want him to have a good game. I mean, I think it's important that you kind of solidify this as a good start and really let the bullpen do their job, let them do their work, and let Andy just go sit down and kind of enjoy having pitched well. I guess I know from that experience that there's nothing worse than having a good game, and I think of the Matt Morris game where he has a no-hitter going, next thing you know, you end up losing the game. That can be really demoralizing for a pitcher, even for a veteran guy. But for Andy to be able to just sit down and say, okay, I did a good job and it's over, I think that's a little bit of what Tony La Russa is thinking.
90 pitches for Andy Bennis, 52 are strikes. He goes 6 1/3 and gives up just 5 hits. He struck out 2, he walked 3.
You know, watching Mike James pitch over the years, and he's actually a former teammate of mine. We played together in Puerto Rico when he was on his way up and I was on my way down. I just don't know how people hit him. He can be really nasty.
Runner is going. Throw by Matheny is not in time. That was stolen off of James. Great start and great jump for Ron Gant.
And there's that stolen base in an 8-2 game again, where you just don't do that in most ballparks, but you're going to do it here. He did steal that base off of James. He'd stepped off the pitch before just to keep him close, but if you don't give, you certainly can't give the blame there to Mike Matheny on that stolen base. But James has got a lot of movement on his fastball. He throws a heavy ball. The ball's just got a lot of movement on it, a lot of spin on it, and even playing catch with him, you could just tell he's got a very lively arm.
1 ball, 2 strikes. And fouled away. Great job by crew tonight here in Colorado. Tom Mee, our producer. Kent Old Yeller, Samuel, our director. Doug Stanton is with us, Lindsay Polite. Mike James, a bit of an oddity, but he's one of the nicest guys you're going to run into, though, isn't he, Rick?
A bit of an oddity. He definitely should be left-handed.
Definitely.
He's wearing my old number, too.
That's right.
Yeah, so I'm not sure where the comparison stops and ends, but he definitely seems a little left-handed to me.
You wouldn't know it, but he's got every piercing in the book, but you go up and talk to him, he's as nice a guy as you're going to find. Not to say that if you have a piercing, you're a bad person, but he's a little different.
I was wondering how you're going to get out of that.
I got out of it. 2-2.
Colorful. That's what he is. He's
you
colorful.
Have to relate to the modern-day athlete. All right, Rick?
Okay, I'm with you.
Piercings and all. Next to Petrick, struck him out. And Petrick is 0 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts and a walk, and that's out number 2.
That was a high slider right there, but got the ball just away from Petrick enough for it to set him down. Petrick looks like a pretty good young hitter. I'm kind of glad that he hasn't done much damage tonight.
What a day, and now what a night here in Colorado.
Whew. What a view.
Norton, who homered, is stepping towards the plate. Here comes Dave Duncan. And they're going to make sure that they do everything in their power to get this win and have the bullpen hold it up for Andy Bennis, and now the left-hander who has been durable, reliable, and pretty much automatic. Steve Klein will come into this game for the Redbirds. Matt Moore's talking it over with Andy Bennis, who's in line for the victory if the bullpen can make it hold up. With 2 down now, it's an 8-2 game. 8-2 on a beautiful night here in Denver. Bottom of the 7th. Cardinals with the lead. Andy Bennis in line for the victory. He goes 6 1/3. Mike James gets a man, and now it's up to Steve Klein to get the Cardinals out of the 7th and into the 8th. And Ricky, this guy has been fun to watch, hasn't he?
What a great find he has been. He is entering his 34th game. Opponents are hitting only .204 against the left-hander Steve Klein, and we talked about Mike James being a little goofy. This guy's a little goofy too, but he is fun to be around. It's been great to get to know him, and I think what a great find, not just getting Dustin Hermanson from Montreal, but he has been a big part of this Cardinal bullpen, and haven't really had the left-handers out there in the past 5 or 6 years that have made you feel good about this point in the ball game. But with Klein and Christensen and Mike Matthews, who's now in the starting rotation, the Cardinals have a bunch of good left-handers, and now with adding Bud Smith today, we called for Alan Bennis. Cardinals really look good from the left side.
Klein, Matthews, and Christensen, those 3 that you talked about, have held opposing left-handed hitters to just an average of 144. Here is Klein to Greg Norton, and something that's been good about Klein is that he's been able to get righties out too. I mean, this guy has been durable, reliable, and pretty much automatic. He is out of the bullpen with a little attitude, comes in with some fire. It's been fun to watch.
And he's a no-excuse kind of guy, too.
Right. And there's the ground ball. Renteria charges, settles, and throws. And Norton is retired, and Mr. Klein, 2 pitches. We're out of the inning.
Nice job.
Tony La Russa and the Cardinals trying to hold on for Andy Bennis. It's 8-2 St. Louis. This portion of Cardinal Baseball on WB11 is brought to you by Bank of America. We find financial solutions that fit you. By Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. For tires and complete auto service, all you need is Dobbs. Gabe White will enter the game for the Colorado Rockies here in the 8th. The top of the order for St. Louis is up. 14 hits the Redbirds have banged out, and they lead it by the score of 8-2. Andy Bennis is in line for the victory if the Cardinals can hold on, and for Bennis, that would be his 5th of the season, and he was impressive here tonight. 6 1/3, gave up 5 hits. Gabe White appearing for the 24th time this season. Vina with a pair of hits, looks at a strike.
Well, White's going to be asked to take care of the top of the Cardinal order, the left-handers, Vina, Edmonds, and Drew.
Up and in to Fernando, and he hits the deck. He's saying it hit him, I think. Now Tony La Russa hops out from the dugout. Looked like it might have grazed his forearm.
Really tough to tell.
Remember, when Tony La Russa and the Cardinals were up, they were running. And maybe that's a sign of Buddy Bell sending one high and tight to Vina. Ben Petrick, the catcher, thought that was strike 3. Instead, it's not. The ball and 2 strikes.
The hard thing about baseball, you're never quite sure of the motive when a pitcher throws one up and in.
2-2.
Situation sometimes dictates, you know, a guy takes somebody out hard at second base, or somebody else gets hit the inning before, and you think that's what they're doing, but you don't quite know. I mean, it could be that White just wants to establish the inside part of the plate. It could be that it got away, or it could be that he's been struggling of late and wants to just show he means business.
Vina comes right back at him with a 3-hit night. Hit number 3 for Fernando as he pulls it into right.
That's one way to deal with it either way.
Yeah. Vina with a pair of singles and also a double and a run scored. He's 3 for 5, and here is Placido Polanco. Drew on deck, so Polanco will hit for Edmonds.
We understand that Al Raboski is feeling much better.
Yep.
And is on his way back, so we're glad to hear that. But I'm glad for the opportunity to get to be with you tonight.
Yeah, it's been fun. That's Rick Horton.
I got us an 8-2 lead after all.
You're a good luck charm. You should stick around tomorrow. Polanco fouls it away.
There are actually folks who think that way. Marty Hendon's classic for that in the Cardinals front office. If he sees you at the ballpark and the team wins, he'll do everything he can to get you to cover the ballpark the next night.
Rick Horton, broadcaster bobblehead night coming up. Commemorative issue. Fouled away off the bat of Polanco.
I never want to hear Rick Horton in the same sentence with bobblehead. I'm not sure I could deal with that.
You might have to. You never know.
I got a pretty big head. Oh, no. Who thought of this?
The collector's items. That's the thing that I don't get. Is that grown men that play bridge collect them.
Oh, easy.
Yeah, I know. Polanco shoots it foul. It stays 0-2.
Cardinals have pounded out 15 hits tonight. Pretty much everybody's had a piece of that action, and Polanco's trying to join the fun.
Vigna off with that pitch after it got away, and he's in scoring position.
What a great jump. What a great piece of base running right there. Those are little things that a guy like Fernando Vigna, who knows how to play this game, those are the little things that help you win ball games. He could see that ball was in the dirt, and he got a really nice pop-off lead off of first base. He got going, and the minute the ball was in the dirt, he was gone. And gets to second base easily without a throw.
Wild pitch charged against Gabe White, the lefty. One of the things in doing television, Rick, is that you've got guys in the truck with some unbelievable facts at their fingertips, including the guru of graphics, and that is Doug Stanton. He tells us that a bobblehead, Sammy Sosa, went for $75 on eBay. Now, you just won't find that out doing radio. You're going to find that out doing TV, and Doug Stanton is one of the greats in this business, the graphics guru.
Guru, is that on his business card?
It is, and you have to refer to him as the guru. He really enjoys that.
Why would somebody want to have that in their head, though, that Sammy Sosa bobblehead doll went for $75? It makes me wonder.
Why would you know that? That's the thing that it's scary that Doug understands those kind of things.
He didn't buy it for $75, did he? Is that how he goes?
May have. He may have. He may have been bidding. Here's J.D. Drew.
I'm not going to tell you what I would have bid for.
Deck of cards, maybe.
Maybe.
Drew is 3 for 4, 3-hit night, including his 20th home run. And it's quickly 0-2.
Talked about J.D. Drew's emergence as a power hitter and as a guy who can drive in some runs, really having his best RBI year to date with the Cardinals. He's also done a lot better hitting left-handed pitchers. He stood in well on that pitch from Gabe White. He's a pretty tough left-handed pitcher, and I think Drew has really done a much better job of hitting lefties.
And we've seen him go to left, to center, and to right on his hits.
Becoming a mature hitter.
Yep. Going the opposite field was something that he did not do for a long time, and here he strikes out. That's out number 2. First strikeout for Gabe White.
Well, it's a fastball up and away, and J.D. can't catch up to that one. That's a little bit too up in the strike zone, and had a little hop to it. That ball up and away, and that's J.D.'s worst at bat of the night.
Well, here we're seeing McGuire hit in the 4 spot. And that's a line drive pulled sharply foul. And Ricky, I think you would agree that the best thing that the Cardinals can see is, number 1, a healthy McGuire. Well, now he's starting to play back-to-back-to-back. And you get some stability in the lineup with him hitting 4th. And you get guys in defined roles, whether it be Edmonds at 2 or Drew at 2 or 3. Pujols hitting behind. And it probably, as a hitter, makes a difference for these guys to know day in and day out, Big Mac is in there at the number 4 spot, and then you just kind of fill in behind and in front, obviously.
We can be grateful all we want to for Langford's start, and Drew's start, and Pujols' start, but there's nothing better than to have McGuire in the middle of your lineup. He's going to make everybody better, and he scares people more than anybody else does.
There's a strike, 1 and 2.
He influences the way a game is played, even when he just walks twice, or people pitch around him, or people just do different things with Mark McGuire in the middle of the lineup, and he can turn a game around in a hurry with one swing of the bat, and he's done it over and over and over again. But he's a guy pitchers fear.
The 1-2 pitch is inside, 2 and 2. What will be interesting is to see if McGuire plays in the day game tomorrow. Now, they're going to leave that decision somewhat up to him, but they're going to see how the knee is feeling after the game tonight, and when he gets to the ballpark tomorrow. You want to be on the side of caution. You probably sit him tomorrow, maybe use him as a pinch hitter. Then you've got the off day on Monday, and then you've got interleague play. You could DH him if you wanted to in Kansas City.
Well, I'm sure they'll leave the decision somewhat up to him, but the bottom line will still come with, do they think that it's the best thing for him? Because a player's always going to tell you he feels good. You know, that's you know, I used to tell my pitching coaches, don't ask me if I feel good, because I'm going to lie to you. I mean, you're geared to think more, hard.
McGuire gets under this one. Second time he has popped it up. Perez backing up and has it for out number 3, and that ends the top half of the 8th. The Cardinals leave a man. They've left 6 in the game. McGuire has a double tonight. The Redbirds lead it 8-2 here at Mile High. Earned run average leaders. in the National League. Leaders in relief, and Steve Klein, ERA that is under 2, and we saw him pitch a couple of innings last night, at least pitch into the second inning of relief work, and he'll do so here. He just threw 2 pitches to get out of the last inning, and he'll start this inning for the Redbirds. Fun to watch.
The one thing you want out of your bullpen pitchers is durability, and he certainly has that. He's pitched in a lot of games in his career. He's not afraid to go out there 70 or 80 times a year, as we see Pujols, who has now moved to right field. But Klein is not the only one out in the Cardinal bullpen doing a good job. There's a lot of guys out there who've gotten the job done. Timlin's had a good year. Jason Christensen's done the job. Steck Schulte's had some good games, and Beers has certainly done a good job of anchoring that bullpen. I think the Cardinals have got to feel good about the people they call on that phone in the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th innings.
Be the top of the order for Colorado. Juan Pierre. Last time up, he grounded out with the bases loaded. He is 0 for 3. Next by Klein. He goes in and tight, and then comes with that nasty pitch on those lefties.
That was nasty. It's a nasty slider. Slider is a pitch that looks like a fastball for about 55 feet. And if you don't see the spin on it, you're going to look awful stupid swinging at it.
That pitch right back to Klein. 1 down.
It's some pitching right there. The nasty slider away, and then throw the fastball right in on his hands, and that one probably stung a little bit.
Look at that, Ricky. 0.98 for lefties against Steve Klein. 2.88 for righties, but the lefties is what you like to see when you're talking about the National League and getting guys like Bonds and Griffey when he's healthy. You bring in Steve Klein more times than not, he's going to win a game in the 7th or 8th by retiring those kind of players.
Well, you look at the Cardinal schedule over the next month, and you see San Francisco on there quite a bit, and that's going to be the big match with Bonds hitting as well as he is this year. He's been spectacular. He's been beyond belief. More than 30 home runs on June 8th is just almost incredible that he's off to the start that he is. And I don't want to say at the age he is, but I'm going to say at the age he is, because he's not a young player, but he's still got quick hands and he's still got a lot of power, and he's putting up some unbelievable numbers.
32 home runs to lead the majors. Hit sharply but pulled foul off the bat of Niefe Perez, hitting from the right side. He hits 275, so you turn him around, hitting from the right side, a switch hitter. Overall, he came in hitting 324. His best side is hitting left-handed. And then you've got Walker on deck. Klein, no earned runs in 9 games at Coors. That's a telling stat, too.
I'm not sure there's many people that can say that.
No. The 1-1 pitch. 1-2. Klein was the guy that was the integral part of that trade in the offseason. And boy, is Walt Jocketty looking like a genius now, because nobody had really heard of Albert Pujols. I mean, people knew in the organization that this was an up-and-coming player, but no one expected him to make the club out of spring. He was probably the best player in spring for the Redbirds, and was not even going to travel north until Bobby Bonilla hurt himself. Perez skies this one into left. Langford going back at the wall, leaps and makes the play. What a play by Ray Langford near the wall for the 2nd out.
So Ray went a long way for that ball. That ball carried very well in the left center field gap at the 390 sign. That ball went all up 390, and Ray got a pretty good jump on that ball and was able to get it very close to the wall with a little leap. And that's where you got to get a little help from your center fielder to telling you whether you've got room or not. And I'm not sure if Edmonds was yelling or not, but Klein probably wasn't happy with the pitch, but he was happy with the result.
Here's Walker. Round ball. Good play by Fernando. And Walker, an 0 for night. Not many times can you say that. Great work out of the bullpen by Klein. Sets down 4 straight. Little help from that man, Ray Langford, in left. A nice play near the wall. The Cardinals in control of this one as we head to the 9th. 8-2. Albert Pujols will lead things off as we move to the 9th here at Coors Field, and the Cardinals trying to even up this series after dropping last night's affair 9-1. Today's play of the game is brought to you by Budweiser, with the crisp, clean, refreshing taste you'll find in no other beer. This Bud's for you. Albert Pujols has had a big night. 4 RBIs and 3 RBIs on 1 swing of the bat. Home run the opposite way on a 1-2 pitch off of Pedro Estacio. Back in the 5th, Albert Pujols, part of our Budweiser play of the game. Former Redbird into the game. Juan Acevedo this season appearing for the 11th time, an ERA that's just over 3 opponents average. Just at 207, he has been pretty reliable out of the bullpen, Ricky Horton. And Juan Acevedo, you can never argue with his arm. He's got a good live fastball, but has just never been able to put it together.
Well, Cardinal fans that remember him being with the Redbirds in both 98 and 99 remember that he showed flashes of brilliance. There were times where he was unhittable, and then he would have some streaks where he just couldn't get anybody out. And consistency was really his problem, but it certainly wasn't a lack of a strong arm. He had a fairly good year last year with Milwaukee, appearing in 62 games. He was 3-7, but had a good ERA of 3.81, and lodged some pretty good innings for the Milwaukee ball club. But he's going to get a chance to pitch here in Colorado in this bullpen. He's going to get his chance to, I mean, you got to go to the relievers quite a bit here, and he's going to get his chance to get innings. And if he can be consistent, he can help out this Buddy Bell ball club.
The bullpen has been a sore spot for the Rockies this year, although their closer, Jimenez, has done a good job, another former Cardinal. Here's Albert Pujols to lead things off, followed by Ray Langford, who made a nice play in left, and then Renteria. To get back to the point about what Walt Jocketty did this offseason, and you said if Pujols was not in this lineup, you're talking about maybe being 10 games back, and that's the kind of impact that he's had, and that's probably correct. But then you look at what the other players have done since moving on. Well, Pat Henkin, and you say basically Hermanson takes that spot in the rotation with Henkin. Got off to a great start, but he's on the DL for Baltimore. Tatis was benched the other day by Jeff Torborg. At last check, he was hitting .255 for Montreal with only a handful of home runs, playing very poor defense. And Britt Reams just got sent down about 3 days ago. He got off to a good start, but he's lost either 6 or 7 consecutive decisions. So now you've got Dustin Hermanson, who's been very good, although as of late struggled. Right. But here's Albert Pujols, without question, the Rookie of the Year. Could make a case for MVP. And he comes out of nowhere. So he made a shrewd trade, and it's paid off. And then Steve Klein has been maybe the top left-hander in the game coming out of the bullpen as far as a setup guy, or at least a situational guy against lefties.
Well, when you get rid of a power-hitting third baseman, they're hard to come by.
Right.
And I don't think
at his age,
I don't think you could expect it. No one expected him to be here now. Certainly, you were thinking somewhere down the road we'll be able to, play a Paquette and Polanco, and they'll do a credible job at third base. And I think that was Plan A. And maybe next year Pujols would get seasoned in the minor leagues and be ready to step in. And yeah, we're going to lose Tatis, and he's a good player and he's got some pop, but we need the pitching more. And so it was a reasonable deal that's turned out even better than imagined.
Pujols fights off a fastball from Juan Acevedo. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
You hate to see players not get the job done after they get traded. Former Cardinals. I mean, you like to see like a Jimenez come here and find a spot as a stopper here with the Rockies, and Acevedo to find a place. And Stottlemyre, it's not great to see him go down with an injury. You like to see former Cardinals players do well too, but the reality is that trade looks very good right now for the Cardinals.
Pujols fouls it away again. We've seen Albert now with a couple of at-bats, Ricky, and I said before about how he spreads out a little bit at the plate when he gets 2 strikes, and he really doesn't change that much with the swing, but it's just so compact, even with 2 strikes.
Well, what spreading out does for you is it keeps you from overcommitting. You widen your stance. It makes you stay back a little bit longer. It keeps you from getting fooled. It makes you just keep your hands back and protect the entire plate. Makes you not think home run. It makes you think good contact.
That was a protection there.
Well, and also when you're spread out like that, you're not quite as mobile. Your balance isn't quite the same. So when they throw that hard one, it's a little bit harder to get out of the way.
Albert's reaction to that wasn't real happy, as you might imagine.
If that look could only tell some words.
That just missed outside, and with Acevedo, he's got that live arm. I mean, that thing's coming in 94, 95 miles an hour.
Boy, he throws hard.
Yes, he does. With the Cardinals, you can never figure out if he was going to be a middle relief guy. Could he close? Remember, they tried him a little bit there. He was a starter for a while. Never got it together. Leadoff walk to Pujols.
What I remember from Acevedo, if memory serves, is he really didn't like pitching out of the bullpen. He considered himself to be a starter, but he was basically being handed the short reliever role. Right. He had such a strong arm, and he is so durable. I mean, he is such a strong-looking guy. He's built like a durable power pitcher coming out of the bullpen. And you know, what's the matter with having that job of being a stopper and getting 30 or 40 saves? And you can make some money doing that.
Absolutely.
Have a great career doing that. But I think he just saw himself at that time as a starting pitcher and didn't really want to kind of expand his thinking. And I think that's part of the reason the Cardinals gave up on him and sent him elsewhere.
Here is Langford against Acevedo. Ground ball, good play there by Helton. Can they get the double play? Acevedo covering at first, and they do.
That's one of the toughest plays that you see in baseball, that 3-6-1 double play. Started off by Todd Helton. Makes a nice throw to second base on the inside part of the bag, avoiding the runner. And Nathan Perez on the first base, and that is a very hard play for the pitcher to be running at full speed, stop, and Acevedo almost had his foot in the way of the runner Langford, which could have been disastrous for him. You try to find the inside part of the base so the runner doesn't run over you, and good thing there wasn't a collision there. You're very vulnerable as a pitcher when you reach your leg back and try to find first base.
Here's Renteria. He's grounded to third, singled to center, and flied to center. Hitting .234. You're right, Ricky. This is the guy that maybe holds the key to this lineup really getting going. If McGuire can come back, and it looks like he's starting to dial things in a little bit. Edmonds is, and now Renteria shoots this one into right, but Walker has a beat on it and puts it away. If Renteria can get going, watch out with this Redbird lineup. Acevedo gets out at the top of the ninth. We'll move to the bottom half. It's 8-2 St. Louis. Baseball on WB11 was brought to you by Budweiser, who salutes America's designated drivers. We all make a difference. By Southwest Airlines, celebrating 30 years of freedom. 30 years, one mission, low fares. By AutoZone, the right parts, the right price, and good advice. And by your local St. Louis Chrysler Jeep dealers, the official automotive sponsor of the Cardinals on WB11. Dave Veers will come into this game. Not a save situation. It's 8-2 with the Redbirds on top. Trying to hold on for Andy Bennis. Good work by the bullpen tonight. James and, of course, Steve Klein and Andy Bennis a chance to pick up victory number 5. And Dave Veers has spent time here in Colorado. He was a setup man for a long time and then the closer, and then came over in that trade that brought him to St. Louis, appearing for the 25th time this season.
Dave has some great numbers. Opponent batting average is the one that sticks out, 181. That's really getting the job done. He's 9 for 9 in his save attempts and has a great walk, strikeout to walk ratio. Usually this kind of game, when you bring your stopper in, sometimes it's a recipe for trouble, because you bring a guy into a game where there isn't a save situation. He's used to being in that situation. You're a little afraid, well, maybe his concentration won't be there. First of all, you don't think Dave Veers will ever be that way anyway, but it's hard to come into a game in Colorado and not concentrate, so I don't think that's going to be an issue here, because 8-2 is still not over.
You're watching Cardinals baseball on WB11, KPLR St. Louis. Dan McLaughlin and Rick Horton. Rick, this has been fun. You've done a great job tonight.
I've enjoyed being with you. It's a wonderful ballpark, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I know the fans here absolutely love it. They have been one of the best drawing teams in the major leagues since they've come into the majors. 47,000 tonight. Tickets sold, but here in attendance a little lighter than that because of the Avalanche game. One ball, one strike. It's going to be crazy in here in downtown Denver. The Avalanche trying to hold on in the final minute, and this game may end at the same time, and it's going to be some happy folks in downtown Denver.
We may hear an eruption here in a moment.
Yeah. 2 balls and a strike. You a hockey fan?
Well, I must say I followed the Blues this year. I'm not the greatest of fans. I don't understand the game fully, but I sure do love the hometown team, and the Blues didn't quite make it playing for that cup we just saw there, but they had a pretty good season.
Good pitch there by Veers, but just missed outside. 3-1. They're good for Ray Bork, 20-plus years, and you being an ex-professional athlete, and had a chance to play on a world championship team can understand the feeling of what it must be like to win at this level. And for Ray Bourque, he'll have a chance to do it, and good for him. And he's one of the classiest guys in the NHL, and some will say the greatest defensive player of all time in the NHL, and now he's got a chance to win it with the Colorado Avalanche.
Well, that is a great story. It makes you think about a guy like Ernie Banks. You know, he's like the Ernie Banks of hockey, and you say he's been playing hockey for 20 years. I don't think I can skate for 20 seconds without falling down. And he's been doing it for 20 years, so I admire him just for staying on skates for 22 years.
He played so many years in Boston, and now he's at the age of 40 and still doing the Boston Marathon, and he plays 25 to 30 minutes a night. And at this level at the NHL, that's unheard of for just about anybody. Now, Chris Pronger does it with the guys in his mid-20s, and here he is with all those minutes and still doing it. So good for Ray Bourque, and they do hold on. Leadoff walk given out to Helton. And here's Jeff Cirillo.
Those guys are tremendous athletes. There's no doubt about that. Their hand-eye coordination and the shape that they're in to play at that level and play so hard for so long. And obviously, it's a physical game too. And really, to be a major sport athlete in the year 2001, you've really got to be in good shape because there's such a demand on your time. There's so many games, and you've got to kind of get your strength up to a level that, you know, maybe in years back you didn't have to be.
Right. Cirillo tonight rounded to short, fielder's choice, and homered down the left field line. Under a minute to go, and you're going to hear an explosion here at Coors Field pretty soon.
I don't think we'll have to let anybody know.
No.
Be self-explanatory.
Cardinals trying to hold on for Andy Bennis here. Nobody out. The 1-1 pitch. Good pitch by Veers. 1-2. Got the portable TVs, the headsets. Everybody's got an eye on that game.
Beware of foul balls right now, hitting somebody in the cranium. Not too many people watching the action on the field right now.
Dave Veers still calls the Denver area home along with Darryl Kyle. It's a fantastic place to live. It's beautiful year-round. You can understand why these guys love it. The 2-2 pitch. Hit back and foul. Andy Bennis, if the Cardinals do hold on, will improve to 5-4. The Redbirds will stay 5 games back of Chicago. They beat the White Sox in extra innings in interleague play today.
Dave Veers has been such a solid performer for the Cardinals since coming over from the Rockies. He did a great job last year in the 71 games, saving 29 games. He has done a lot to solidify this Cardinal bullpen. I think they were in search of that guy, and you know, he's not your classic closer. He's not the guy that, you know, that you think is going to be blowing people away. Although, if your closer is holding people to 181 batting average, I'd say he's getting the job done pretty well.
Absolutely. He's not the Rob Nen type, not Billy Wagner, but the numbers are there. Here comes a 2-2 pitch. Here's the countdown at Coors. The crowd is standing ovation. It's up on the big screen. Ray Bourque has a Stanley Cup championship. Cirillo has stepped out. Time has been called now. Dave Veers is throwing off the mound, and the Stanley Cup champions are the Avalanche.
What an oddity. This game has come to a standstill.
That is odd, isn't it?
The umpires are just letting it go on, letting the celebration begin, and the celebration is certainly beginning in the city of Denver.
But at some point, if you're Tony La Russa, you're saying, hey, let's play ball.
Exactly. Well, the most frustrated guy on the field right now is the pitcher. The pitcher is, is at a level of concentration that not everybody else is at right now, including the guys in the dugout who may be hungry and want to go in and eat their dinner, but the outfielders who want to get in. But the pitcher, his arm is loose, he's warm, he's ready to go, and he's thinking about this next pitch to Cirillo, and probably more disconcerted than anybody else in this ballpark.
Yep. Now the security folks scamper for their positions here at Coors Field, and Cirillo will step back in with a full count and nobody out here in the ninth. Pelton is at first, and Walker awaits. That pitch is up and in, so back-to-back walks given up by Dave Beers.
I'm expecting to see the same level of excitement back in St. Louis for Mike Matheny bobblehead night. I would love to see the fans get that excited when the Redbirds come back into town, and hopefully they will have turned around this losing streak by then, starting out the road trip 0-4. This will be, assuming they can hang on here with Beers, who's off to a rough start here in the ninth inning, but still has a 6-run lead. Assuming the Cardinals can win this game, they're going to head into Kansas City on Tuesday after playing here tomorrow and have a chance to turn this road trip around. You like to win the road trip. The Cardinals have to win 5 in a row to make that happen. Certainly conceivable for them to make that happen before going back to St. Louis.
Kansas City, by the way, is 18 games out in the American League Central. Cleveland and Minnesota tooth and nail in that division as Cleveland came in a half game up. Seattle, one of the great stories in baseball, a 15-game winning streak. They're 47-12. Anaheim is in second place, 17 games out.
They're almost playing 800 baseball.
That's amazing.
The Seattle Mariners.
There's Todd Walker, first and second, nobody out. And the pitch is a strike. Boston and New York nip and tuck in the American League East. Boston up by a game. Cardinals 5 back in the Central. Philadelphia kind of coming back down to earth a little bit. They've lost a couple in a row. Then they had a game in which they won, and then they lost 3 in a row prior to that. So they're up by 4 games over Atlanta. And the National League West is going to be a good race between 3 teams, Arizona, LA, and Colorado. If San Francisco can get back in it, they're a game under 500. They're 7 games out, and San Diego is 9 back and in the cellar.
When you're talking about those Seattle Mariners, just imagine their recipe for success has been to get rid of the best player in the game. I mean, over the last 5 years, they have Ken Griffey Jr., and they get rid of him and they get better, and then they get rid of Randy Johnson and they get better, and then they get rid of Rodriguez and they get better. I mean, that almost defies logic for that team to be doing as well as they are.
That's in the dirt, and back to the backstop as Matheny could not block that. Runners will move up to second and third in an 8-2 game. Still nobody out here in the ninth. With a ball and 2 strikes in Todd Walker.
Well, Beers is not showing a lot of command of his split finger here, which is causing him a little bit of problem. That ball right there was about a 59-footer, and if Mike Matheny couldn't block it, then it was way off the plate. And he's had his problems with the feeling in his finger this year, and I don't know that that's what's going on right here, but he's struggling, at least at this point, with the feel of his split finger.
Last time we saw Beers was on Wednesday at Wrigley Field. The 1-2 pitch. Hits his spot and strikes him out. And that's out number 1. Good pitch and a fastball from Dave Beers.
That was a spectacular fastball. Great location. Matheny sets up on the outside part of the plate, and he just hits the glove. Walker thought that ball might be a little bit away, but when you hit a glove like that, they're going to give it to you 9 out of 10 times. Very good pitch from Dave Beers, but still would like to see him get that split finger going.
Ricky, you were talking about the trades that they have made, and of course Rodriguez signed as a free agent, but Mike Cameron came over in the Griffey deal. He's been spectacular defensively. for Seattle. And then you think about the Randy Johnson deal. They get a very good pitcher out of it. They get a middle infielder that's contributing now. So Gillick made the deals that have contributed to why they're winning now. Now they gave up some great talent. I'm not saying that they wouldn't love to have Randy Johnson or Jr. or A-Rod, but they made sure they got the best value for what they gave up.
Well, it shows you need 9 people to win a ball game, too.
The 1-0 pitch to Gant is a strike.
You hate to give up, or not sign the best player in the game, as in the case with Alex Rodriguez, but, if you can save that money and get 3 good players, and they've really got some good pitchers, too. They've got a really solid starting rotation, and I think they feel like they can win every night out, and they're almost doing it.
Made smart moves in their free agent signings, and Suzaki a year ago could be the fireman of the year this year. But very good, reliable out of their bullpen, and then, of course, Ichiro's the story in baseball, along with Bonds. 2 balls and a strike. We saw the strikeout that Veers just got. He's now K'd 29 in the last 22 innings pitched, so his strikeouts have been up this year. The 2-1. Fouled back to even the count.
Still yet to throw a real good split finger. I think that was a kind of a hanging split finger right there. The ball just kind of stayed up in the strike zone. The one before kind of sailed on him down and away. And he's used his slider a little bit more this year, too, than he did last year. He's got a pretty good slider. But the split finger is still his #1 pitch, out pitch. He throws a little bit harder than you think, too. He's kind of sneaky fast. But he doesn't have that nasty split finger yet tonight.
Up and away to Gant, and it's a full count with 2nd and 3rd. Talking about interleague play before, and the Cardinals will start their interleague play portion against Kansas City, and these 2 teams, the only 2 teams in baseball not playing in interleague play thus far in the 2001 campaign. The next from Veers, swing and a miss, and he gets the strikeout of Ron Gant. Gant was expecting the fastball, and the bottom dropped out of his pitch.
Well, on the 2-2 pitch, he got a fastball up and away, and Veers comes back with a splitter, which was pretty nasty. That's a nasty pitch right there. Would have been ball 4 if Gant would have been able to pick up the slight overspin that a splitter has, but he did not see that spin and just flailed away at it for a big strikeout for Dave Veers.
There's Ben Petrie. He's 0 for 2 with a couple of strikeouts and a walk, hitting .253. He homered here last night off of Alan Bennis. Andy bounces back tonight. Andy Bennis. Veers trying to bounce back in this inning after giving up back-to-back walks to start the 9th, and the first pitch is a strike to Petrie. The 0-1 from Veers. Good play again by Matheny. 1 ball, 1 strike. The Cardinals with a victory here tonight stay 5 games out in the Central. And tomorrow we're on WB11. Dustin Hermanson and Mike Hampton. Hampton 8-2 and disproving the theory that you can't win here at Coors.
He has been tough.
Dustin trying to get back on track, put an end to his 3-game losing streak. The game can be seen at 2 tomorrow, and the Rockies are down to their final strike.
Oh, there's a nice splitter by Veers. Like to leave those runners out there after giving up leadoff walks to start the 9th inning, striking out Todd Walker and Ron Gant back-to-back. Like to finish this game with striking out the side.
Yep. A ball and 2 strikes on the catcher. He does not chase. 2-2.
Matheny's doing an awful lot of work here for the 9th inning of a ball game.
Yes.
He's still working hard behind that plate. He doesn't want any run to score, and any ball in the dirt. He has such great form as a catcher. Just not taking anything for granted.
Even though it is an 8-2 game. The 2-2 pitch from Veers. He got him. Petrie strikes out to end the game, and Veers strikes out the side.
Great finish for Dave Veers. Great start for Andy Bennis. Spectacular game for him. A lot of hitting throughout the Cardinal lineup. Pujols and J.D. Drew going deep. Mike Matheny with 3 hits. A lot of good news tonight, Dan McLaughlin.
8-2 our final. The Cardinals are now 33-28, 5 back in the NL Central. We'll wrap it up after this in a moment. Rick Horton, great job filling in for Al tonight. A lot of fun. Great to have you along.
It was a great game. The Cardinals stopped the bleeding, stopped the 4-game losing streak. Andy Bennis with victory number 5 on the year. Solid game for him, solid start, and the Cardinal bats were great from top to bottom.
J.D. Drew in deep. Albert Pujols, 4 RBIs, and the Cardinals win it in Game 2 of this 3-game set. The Cardinals and Rockies tomorrow at 2 will come your way. For Rick Horton, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Thanks for being with us. WB11 News is coming up next.